Okay, so Christian Science, okay, are mostly, well, the people, its adherents, the best way to describe it is known as basically, rather than taking you to the doctor if you're sick, they believe in praying, you're like literally taking it to the extreme, will not take
Mm-hmm.
you to a doctor. They believe pure prayer will heal you. Well, interestingly, by most mainstream Christian denominations, they're treated as a kind of fringe cult. But I was thinking about while I was showering that the reason why is because they're what I call too obvious. See, most mainstream denominations, the reason why Christianity is becoming mainstream is a survival technique because most people are turning to science and
Mm-hmm.
churches are scrambling to stay around. So they have to, compromise a little bit, hence Christian progressivism. It's what I call a compromise because if you read the Bible, even the New Testament, it is certainly not progressive. And actually, nowhere in the Bible does it condone going to the doctor. And the most notable story of doctors at all, they're depicted as basically incompetent and can't even heal a woman who has blood disease. Jesus had to do that. And the reason why most mainstream denominations hate denominations like Christian Science is because they're too obvious and they fear that they'll be seen for what they are. That's why, for example, as well, you hear about the Amish are well known, but yet you hear
Mm-hmm.
people like a lot like Pat Robertson on TV constantly bitch about the way the world is. Well, then you're wondering why don't these kinds of people start their own Amish-like communities, or even how you hear
That's a
them
good
constantly
question.
bitch about how prayer needs to be back in schools, yet never actually see them try to do that because they're all about bitching and they don't want to leave their actual comforts.
Yeah, really. Okay, so we can start
It's
talking
actually,
about
it's
all that
actually
stuff.
Because
Um,
actually, I have a friend. Well, a friend of my grandparents is a Gideon, and he was complaining about how he feels persecuted because he can't
mm-hmm.
openly indoctrinate kids in schools. So then you're wondering, and this question was never answered, if Christians hate the public school system so bad, aren't Christian schools a thing? And ironically, you'd think if that was the case, they would be much more affordable because most Christians are generally on the average poor or lower middle class. But no,
Yeah,
they jack up the prices.
yeah. Okay, so we can talk about all that stuff. That sounds great. We're getting started right now. So, hi, Smiley P, you know who I am. This is Starchild, a friend of mine who is a post-left egoist anarchist, and we're going to talk about spirituality and politics, as you might have heard what he was talking about before with the what was it, the Christian what?
Christian Science.
Christian Science. Okay, so yeah. Um, so you were saying that your friend believes in that, but you're not super interested?
No, no, I just know what it is.
Uh, okay, but you're not a huge fan.
No, I don't believe in it at all.
Okay, here if you want to watch, so you can see what's going on. I'm gonna send you a link to YouTube in the Discord. Just make sure that you mute it or something, unless you'd rather I linked you to Twitch. Um, whatever's up for you.
Yeah, this works. Yeah,
All
I can
right,
see
cool.
that.
Yeah, so now that because I might want to Google stuff like Christian Science or whatever if that comes up. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. So anyway, so tell me about yourself and egoism and everything, and what how is that different from like how is that post left versus just left anarchism like normal.
Okay, so I would say that egoism is different from post-leftism. I mean, not post-leftism, leftism, in that a lot of leftism is based around traditional Marxism. Even anarchism, to a point,
Mm-hmm.
is from Marxism. A
Yeah.
lot of
What?
it. Well, except Anton. Anton, if I recall, is not Marxism. But
Who? Who
the
isn't Marxism?
Anton in
Anton.
communism.
Ancom. Yeah, that's more Kropotkin. However, it's still, I think that Marx still plays a pivotal role in getting Kropotkin to write his story because he found that he disagreed with Lenin's sort of uh, oversimplification of what. Um, let's just look up Kropotkin. He sort of Lenin had an oversimplification of what anarchism was, and he just totally misunderstood it in State and Revolution. Because the anarchists would definitely agree with him most of the time, but he kind of just blew them off for no good reason. Um, but anyway, so I am a fan of
Egoism,
him.
egoism basically wants to eschew a lot of the traditional Marxism.
That's Stirner, right?
Yes.
Stirner, egoism. Yeah. So that's Mr. Glasses guy. Here he is as a wonderful, society lover, average society enjoyer, Mr. Joker. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So what? We have been kind of Discord friends for how long? Almost
A
6
year.
months to a year. Yeah. I hesitated to say a year. I was thinking a year, but I said 6 months. But yeah, we've been friends for a long ass time, bro. Um, we met some leftist server or something like that. And if I recall, you've gone through a bunch of different sort of identities and beliefs every time you discover a new book. But definitely from what I'm seeing, once you found this one, once you found egoism, that was the one that really clicked with you. You've definitely
Yeah.
remained an egoist for a while.
Well, see, believe it or not, that's actually how I got started on Ancom because, well, see,
Really?
I didn't actually become political or get into religion, especially atheism,
Mm-hmm.
until actually I graduated high school. I think I was too focused on shit I was going through at the time to have
Understandable.
what I call life. That's kind of why, as well, I didn't really develop a sexuality until after I graduated high school
Oh wow,
because
you were that involved in that stuff, huh?
yeah, well, see, the thing is that as well, I remember because I went to school in Florida, and
Mm.
the thing about Florida is
I'm
that
sorry to hear that.
you have the half that is like Miami and
The
Tampa and
nice
stuff like
part,
that, the normal
conservative,
parts, and then
rich.
you have
Yeah.
the parts that are just what you traditionally think of the South.
Yeah, the rednecks. And I heard that it's actually the reverse in Florida, where southern Florida is all nice and progressive, and then the up northern Florida is where you find all the rednecks and everybody.
Well, that's kind of half and half true for both parts. For
Okay,
example, the college towns, Gainesville, Gainesville, Tallahassee, uh, Jacksonville,
those will
the
definitely.
major city, Pensacola, etc., are at least not you know tor- torch 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 mob.
Yeah, they're typically more progressive. College towns tend to
Yeah,
be on the more progressive
yes,
side of things.
but where I live is the what is basically the redneck parts. But
Mm-hmm.
South and Central Florida are progressive, but the rule is basically as well. The further south you go,
Mm-hmm.
the more progressive. Central Florida, Tampa, Orlando, and
Oh, really?
stuff.
Yeah.
They're at least they're at least they're at least fun and passable. I mean,
I.
they have you still see the occasional Confederate flag or whatever, but
Mm.
it's not like Trump country.
That's good to know. Your mic is a little buzzy. Do you have a better version, or is this the one that you have?
You mean because I can hear you repeat yourself?
Oh, there's an echo on yours. I would turn off the YouTube or whatever if you're watching that, or if there's an echo, I think there's a setting in Discord where you can remove echoes.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I don't hear an echo on my end, and thankfully the video is not recording that, but that is super annoying for you. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that.
Oh, it is. You just said something about the mic. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, because on my end, and in the video, your mic is a little buzzy.
Okay.
It's fine
How
though.
do I sound now?
It sounds the same, but can you? Am I still echoing on your end?
And not really.
Hmm. Not really. Okay. Well, it's fine. It's passable. Um. uh. So. What got you into egoism? That seems to be your favorite. What?
A friend actually got me into it. I actually found out about it on the Incom server we met on,
Hmm.
but initially a friend of mine, who I'm not friends with anymore, got me into egoism and became enamored with it ever since.
Uh. Yeah. It's still the microphone's kind of hard. It's a little buzzy, but I can still understand you. So how would you describe egoism in your own words, as I suppose as your ego would take it?
It's more of a philosophy, a
uh,
platform.
yeah. What? It seems that this person doesn't think that very highly of Ancoms in this meme right here.
They don't.
Yeah.
Well, Sterner doesn't like most left. Sterner's view of leftism, well, post leftists in general, view leftism as basically the left wing of capitalism.
Really? He thinks leftism is the left wing of capitalism? That's social democracy. That's
Well,
not
to be
true. Yeah, if you're
well
leftist, you
to be
can't be
well to
capitalist.
be fair, a lot of egoists and post leftists view a lot of the moralism that backs leftism, even anarchism, to be a rather type of controlling idea. Like one thing about post leftists, and this is why they get called lifestyle anarchists, which is but basically their belief is you could be just as much our belief is you could be just as much a slave to morality as you can the state and capitalism.
I yeah, I suppose that's true. Um, but I
I would argue that Sterner would say, yeah, having a personal moral code is beneficial, but a lot of things like, for example, and this is something that I noticed well on the Incom server that I would argue is a valid post left critique. So I once said in the Income server on that because I was going through a bad time at that time that I don't like humor nor do I like smiling because it's offensive. And
you feel that way?
someone I don't anymore.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, I'm glad to hear that you've moved since then, considering my name is literally Smiley P.
Well, at the time it was mainly to troll what, and I'll get into what I was trolling.
Mm.
So basically, that server, I don't know if you caught were there long enough, values political correctness. I have
Mm.
nothing wrong with political correctness per se,
Yeah.
but the type of political correctness I don't like is shit like wanting parental advisory stickers on offensive album covers.
Yeah,
Or
I think that that's a little silly.
and,
However, I
and
don't necessarily disagree with that either on its face. Like, I think,
I,
sometimes children
why
shouldn't
don't
listen to.
I do to a point because I feel if you're gonna buy an album by a band called NWA, which literally stands for niggas with attitude,
Yeah,
rest
literally.
assured, rest assured, it's not going to be a clean album.
Yeah. Well, what would you advocate instead?
I would argue that people need people. Okay, here's the best way. Allow me to give you an example, an anecdote. On the news, when you hear a lot about school shootings, they want to blame everyone but the main cause. Which here's a one way to stop school shootings: stop broadcasting it on the news all the time because you're giving
Mm-hmm.
them what they want, even posthumously. It's not heavy metal music. It's not video games. It's not etc. Stop broadcasting it. And to get back to the main point, my main problem is that you can't blame alternative sources when the real problem is sometimes parents don't want to be teachers.
Yeah, I mean, some parents. I mean, and if that's the case, my personal belief is if you don't want to raise your kid, you shouldn't be a parent. I don't think you're ready to be
I
a
don't.
parent if you
Well,
can't
this.
teach your kid.
Well, either in this world or a non-capitalist, not anarchist world. I don't believe. Well, I don't like. I'm anti-natalist. I believe it's immoral to have children. Well,
At all.
a, a compromise. I'll compromise with you on that. I believe if you truly want the kid, and my belief is parents. I believe even parents who claim they want to be parents. I believe they learn to want to be parents, or they acquired the desire to love their kid or whatever. But no, I don't believe on the surface, despite what the media claims, a lot of people say set out to have kids. That's why you hear people say a lot of times that who don't have kids that they wouldn't mind if they had any, if they were to have any, like it was an accident, but you don't see them actually try to have it.
Yeah, it's a little silly. Um,
Just just like my view of marriage as well is that most people I believe marriage is a byproduct of society. Most people do not want to get married. I don't believe that.
uh, yeah, I'm kind of with that too. I think that they don't want to. I think I'm kind of one of those people in the sense that I'm not a big fan of the traditional concept of marriage. In that like you have to go buy a wedding ring and then you have to
Yeah.
go and have the
We'll see,
pomp and
we'll see,
circumstance, which I don't
we'll see
necessarily
that
mind that part, but
we'll see that in most marriage courts are very old fashioned. Like when have
mm-hmm.
you ever seen a woman have to pay like any kind of alimony, even though there are marriages where the woman was the breadwinner? You only hear of alimony where the man has to pay.
Yeah, it is very rare. It does happen though. There are times where females pay alimony if the man is taking care of the kid.
And my
Um,
belief is, and my belief is as well. It assumes that most marriages are like that even now, where the man is always the breadwinner, or that he could even support himself. That's my problem as well. It takes a
mhm.
very loaded idea of marriage.
I think alimony is actually kind of a bad way of doing it. I definitely think that it should be state assistance in turn, or not like state insistence, but as an anarchist, but pre-anarchism, pre-communism, I think that it should be a state like taking care of kids is expensive, especially if you literally most jobs that people have these days aren't even enough to cover their own expenses like a living wage. So let alone taking care of children and like on their own, male or
Yeah,
female. So I think
like you
childcare is
as well.
absolutely should be subsidized.
Yeah. Just like you were asking as well. Okay, here's one thing that I can say an egoist would say that would be well, egoist anarchism is different from traditional anarchism. Most anarchists, even in the ANCOM server I've encountered, support socialized or universal health care. Well, when I say socialized or universal, I mean single payer. I forget those are not all the same. I'm actually still learning that. But anyways,
Mm,
where the government pays for your bills and everything, your health care.
yeah.
My problem is, even though most people would agree that's better over what we have now,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is anarchists should not strive for that because that requires a state. And to my understanding,
Mm-hmm.
the state is the antithesis to anarchy. So therefore, you shouldn't even want that.
Well,
I
actually, that is a sort of a misnomer because, in fact, the state under anarchist definition is just the systems of monopolies on violence and exploitative, like coercive systems that basically prey on the disadvantaged in order to protect the advantaged at the top. Now, um, my understanding is that the state would be removed. It wouldn't be a state anymore if it's well, Marxist, traditional Marxist Leninists, at least on paper, say that the state is when run by, or at least Lenin in the State and Revolution said that once the bourgeois state is replaced with the dictatorship, the so-called dictatorship of the proletariat, where the ruling class no longer becomes the wealthy and the government class, but becomes the working class, the proletariat, then it's no longer a state in that sense anymore, and it is just a system of basically unions, and sort of becomes syndicalism at that point, but beyond just work, like job stuff.
Yeah,
It does that, and I think through that you could have universal health care, because you would have a union of healthcare workers that help, employ, train, and produce healthcare workers, and bring people in who are interested and can lend a hand and get that training, and then help that out. And I
yeah,
believe that it would be democratically run, and that would have to be universally applied to anybody within that society.
yeah. Well, see, to take my view on that, to counteract that, I can't find it right now, but I will try and show you later. A meme from Full Egoism I found where basically it depicted Principal Skinner from The Simpsons as a tanky, and he was like,
If you can
basically
find it
when
and send it
US,
in Discord, I'll put it on screen. But yeah, you can describe it right now.
when the USSR failed, basically it he's depicted as after the USSR failed, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like basically even though communist tanky countries constantly failed, he's like theory still works. We'll try again, basically. And
Who's the person saying this in the meme?
Principal Principal Skinner from The
Oh yeah,
Simpsons,
yeah.
depicted he's depicted as a tank in this meme,
That's funny.
and he's basically like even though all tanky countries failed, the theory still works. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's my view of tanky. That's my view of socialist states as
Yeah.
well.
It.
Another view I have of revolution for the most part is replace revolutions are very tactile in nature because all you're doing is replacing one ideal for the other.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, capitalism and socialism are entirely incompatible. So, and liberals will not vote for, they will never vote out capitalism. They will rather side, historically and, currently, as I find, they will 100% of the time almost, side with fascists, before they go with socialists, because they
Well,
want
see,
to create social democracy, which is socialized capitalism. They
well,
don't want
see
to
a
get rid
great
of that system.
well, see, even in fascism, well, see, the thing is with fascism, and this is one big thing you notice, you can become so fascist that even the people in power will then begin to be affected by their own oppression. So that's when they have to do what I call social, well, political jujitsu, and now they're on the side of progressivism. It's jujitsu, really.
Yeah, it's just kind of like smoke and mirrors. uh,
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's the best way I can say that.
Here, I went live to show my screen on the Discord call in case we want to watch a video or something, so you can hear it too. Um,
Okay.
just in case you wouldn't hear it anyway. Um, so, yeah. How do you think that egoists would handle universal healthcare?
I the I think that like there wouldn't really be universal health care. Well, the best way I can say it is I'd say a gift economy.
Of course. From each according to their ability to each according to their need. But how would a gift economy provide health care to people?
Well, I think that it would be well. One of the things that Sterner said was that when basically it hurts him to see others in pain. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, for example, say someone have the knowledge and medical training, they would, if they saw someone hurting, they would just help them because to make them feel better, and in turn that would please their ego.
You are absolutely true, and that yeah, when there's a shipwreck or something on land and there's people around, they instantly start jumping in. At least generally. Sometimes I heard a story just the other day about this woman who got sexually assaulted on a train or on a bus or something, and there were like 8 or 10 people around who did nothing, and that happened like
Yeah,
recently, which is pretty crazy. But in most cases, people will go out of their way to help those immediately in need, like in the case of a ship that's run ashore or
well,
even a sinking one.
I wouldn't say that the bystander effect is completely negative,
Mm.
contrary to what people think. And allow me to give you an example.
Please,
Okay,
I'm curious.
okay. Say, and the best way I can give it to you is an anecdote from when I was back in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
when I had JROTC, I had to learn first aid as part of one of the units, and I was not liked in high school at all. I'm really still not, but
Mm.
anyways,
Are you still in high
I
school, or you just mean in
no,
general?
I still live where I went to high school at. Well, I live in the area I went to high school at, so a lot of the people I went to school with are still here.
Yeah, you still live around the same people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
small towns.
basically, when I was in school, I spoke up and said, "What do you do if the person injured is someone you don't like?" And
Mm-hmm.
the girl who was the girl who was teaching the class, because the teacher basically didn't, the commandant didn't. He appointed someone to do so. So this girl just looked at me and said, "You helped them anyway." And I then elaborated. Well, depending on how bad I don't like the person and
Mm-hmm.
how bad they're injured, I will not help them because I feel if they help me, I mean, if I help them, they will continue to treat me like trash, and it hurts my ego to do something good for someone and not
Mm-hmm.
get warmly received in return. And
Yeah.
I then feel, what did I earn? What did I earn from that? And I also feel with these kinds of people, it would not be mutually beneficial to me because I know some people would not return the favor, and thus I wouldn't want to risk my life in their hands. Therefore, I
Mm.
don't feel they should do the same for me.
However, of course, but if this you felt neutral or you liked this person, you would help them, even if you didn't know them and you were neutral about them.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I would personally
See,
because of my Did you have more to say?
see, one thing that I don't like about a lot of traditional anarchism, and this is something I feel that it fails to address. When people say anarchism will not work because it relies on the good of people, the goodwill of
Hmm.
people, and while a lot of
I
anarchists like
disagree
to
with
say,
that,
oh,
but go on.
when anarchists will say that capitalism portrays everyone as evil.
Hmm.
Well, that isn't true. I don't believe humans are altruistic people. And people forget that before capitalism, because that's the thing that I like to point out to people, a lot of the problems people blame under capitalism didn't start only under capitalism. Like,
Mm.
the world wasn't necessarily a good place before capitalism came along. I mean, it isn't now, but people do forget that feudalism and the things and
Hmm.
mercantilism before that, it also wasn't ideal under that. I
Hmm.
feel that I feel that people forget that, and that's one of the things I noticed, especially about bourgeois media. It
Hmm.
takes old issues and makes them sound like they're new.
Hmm. Yeah, according to Marx and Engels in dialectical materialism, or historical materialism, rather, they believe that all history is the history of class struggles, with the exception of primitive communism, which existed before, slave states and things like that, and feudalism and everything. So, what primitive communism was um,
Hunter gatherer
hunter
societies.
gatherer societies, but even most places within the Americas before they were invaded and conquered by You know the Christopher Columbus, and they were slaughtered by the Spanish. And
Even even though those people actually came over from Asia, the term
yeah.
Native American is kind of a misnomer.
Well, yeah, the only native anything we could all be is African. We came out of Africa, so we would have to, left Africa, go into the Middle East, and then Europe, and then
Yeah.
Asia, and then we crossed the land bridge from,
See, that's the
Russia to
thing. Speaking of speaking of that,
Alaska.
I I can actually screenshot you
Hmm.
the this thing someone sent me because it's actually relevant because um we mentioned well yeah first well actually that's a good point, First Nation people. Let me get
Hmm.
that because this is actually a rather interesting thing
It's so
that they
crazy
said.
how close Russia and Alaska are, which kind of
Oh
explains why they used to own it and we had to buy it from
yeah,
them. But yeah, dude, it's insanely close. Like that, like I can see Russia from my house. Like if you lived like around here in eastern Balerian, if you lived on this yellow dot, like right here, you could see maybe Russia from your house. I mean, that's still probably thousands or hundreds at least of miles between there, so it would be an exaggeration, but it wouldn't. It would surprisingly potentially not too big of an exaggeration. So
yeah.
when we had that
Um,
land
here's
bridge, they crossed there.
yeah, here's the thing this person sent me because I just find this interesting. You should be able to see that.
It's the hizzy. I don't know. For me, they took care of me when I went it.
They
Canada's
were
much better.
responding to something I said, where I said to them, I hate how unfriendly ER and medical practice staff are. And they said, I don't know, for me, they took care of me when I went in. Canada is much better and politer,
Yeah,
except for how they treat the First Nations
yeah.
people. And
With
continue
that
to
big
treat
asterisk, yeah, the medical staff are generally. Yeah, and from what I've heard, they may not actually treat. Even today in the medical field, they're not super keen on giving the best treatment to the First Nations
them.
people too.
Every time I go, regardless of why I'm there, they treat me like I'm a drug user.
Are you a Native American?
No, I'm not. I was just well, I'm of heritage, but I just meant I was talking about the ER thing. I thought that's what you were talking
In Canada? Or you
about.
mean
No, here.
here? Oh yeah, no. You're in the United States. No matter who you are, unless you're rich, they're gonna treat you like shit. Yeah, I try to
Yeah,
be as
and
polite as possible, but even then, sometimes.
they also and they also act like, especially for secretaries, because I noticed this as well. I have a secretary degree. I'm certified as a secretary. They act like because they took a year long course or
Uh huh.
even a lower sociological course,
Which
they
you
act like it
basically did.
makes them a
Hmm.
I said they act like it makes them a genius because they have a bachelor's degree of some kind in
Yeah.
sociology.
It's just whatever. But
That's
yeah.
kind of why as well, because I remembered you said you're a registered behavior technician. That's actually
Yeah.
something. This isn't really promoted in anarchist circles. I noticed probably because it feeds into a lot of anti-science views, but I would
Hmm.
argue that it can you can be anti-science and still be in the anarchist spectrum because people forget that not all
There's.
science works in our best interest.
Yeah.
Joseph Mengele, eugenics were science, but that doesn't mean they were good.
Yeah. No, not at all.
And I feel like people also forget that yes, the asylum era did happen, and I feel like people forget that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how literally everywhere the United, like the Native Americans, all the way from the North America, Canada area down all the way to South America, um, how they've just constantly over and over again just get completely exploited and genocided by every single people who
But
come and invade them.
to be fair though, the Native Americans are also taking on their own form of capitalism, like how they have casinos now.
Yeah, well, that was just because most gambling is outlawed in the United States, but they gave them their reservations and they gave them a little bit more autonomy on those reservations, which thank God they got something. Uh,
Yeah,
they
like,
sh- they should have gotten way more,
yeah, like
but
they're not. Sorry, like they're not even bound to. You have to be 21 to drink on the reservations. You can be younger that
really,
drink
oh,
alcohol.
and unfortunately, they still that's uh, the youngerness isn't a thing, but it sucks how their genetics, since they didn't really have much alcohol over here on this side of the world. So they are so unfortunately predisposed to alcoholism because their genetics
We'll
haven't
see
quite
what's
caught up
bizarre
yet.
about. We'll see what's bizarre about the whole drinking age thing is that, well, I can tell you what will solve drunk driving. Not increasing the drinking age. Maybe stop giving out driver's licenses like they're candy. Because let's be honest, some people do not deserve them.
Yeah, I
Like,
think cars are completely overrated.
like
I don't think almost anyone needs a car. Some people do, but I think the vast, vast, vast majority of people don't need them, and they are completely superfluous and an unnecessary
well,
expense, and just a bad thing.
I think if we make the move to electric cars, I think that could be a move in the step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean that would be helpful for the environment, but I think that, frankly, the best thing is public transportation and 15-minute cities and urban areas that are like that because it makes way more sense to be able to walk, bike, or take some sort of tram, or even, and here's the thing too, you can have buses, but you can also have public rideshare services. Like if
Well, see,
Uber and
here's the thing,
Lyft were
though.
nationalized.
Well, see, you forget though, there are some places that are not as urbanized. Like where I live,
Hmm.
can't take the subway. They haven't built it yet. Can't
Yeah.
take the bus. Doesn't
Hmm.
run from here.
Yeah,
I can't,
that's
or I can't have food delivered to me or take an Uber. Doesn't exist here.
Yeah, and in those cases, I think that cars are acceptable. Like I said, I think most people don't need them. But if you want one, there's nothing wrong with trying to procure one. I just think that they need to be way, way, way pulled back. I think that people
Oh,
should be.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that we should make public and personal transportation much simpler and easier and reliant on things like bikes and scooters and
Well, see, that's the thing as well that I don't like about a lot of, well, and this may seem off topic, but in my mind, this is relevant because, for example, I get a lot of flack from the vegan and vegetarianism circles because I'm what I would consider a pescapolitarian, where
what's
I
that?
generally try to eat, I generally try to eat poultry and seafood.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Isn't
so
that
I
just
believe
pescatarian?
is it the, no, politarian is where you eat poultry. Pescatarian
Is where
is
you eat fish?
seafood. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So polar
and
pescatarian is the two of them.
yes, just like ovo. There's one. I think it's lactarian and ovarian, if I recall, are also where
What's
you eat things like
ovarian?
eggs and dairy.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Ova
Eggs
meaning
and
egg.
dairy.
Yeah, eggs and dairy. I try to I have a very loose diet of just trying to avoid red meat. And I take veggie burgers and things as much as I possibly can, and
Well, my
instead of
view,
meat.
my view is you can't bash someone for eating a steak while at
Hmm.
the same time using a cell phone from somewhere like Samsung and wearing name brand clothing.
Yeah, it seems kind of silly. I don't see how those are quite relevant though. I can see how bashing somebody for eating meat.
Well, what
Um,
I'm saying is you can't really bash someone, or you can't really claim to take a stand against one industry while not being consistent in other areas. This is what I'm getting at.
Mm, I do agree with you there. You should always be logically consistent. However, I don't see a direct inconsistency in terms of somebody who is vegan but also wears name brand clothing. Now, if they wore
Because,
animal skin
because
clothing, that would be
well,
pretty
well,
hypocritical.
a lot of name brand clothing, like Nike, for example, is made in sweatshops. That's what
Yeah,
I'm getting.
those are human exploitation. Those aren't necessarily animal exploitation. And I
No, but
do.
what I, no, but what I'm getting at is you can't ignore one form of exploitation
Uh
and
huh.
acknowledge another.
I agree that you absolutely shouldn't, but I don't totally think that I don't in my personal belief I don't think that that is entirely unacceptable. I think that ultimately we should all move forwards towards a non-exploitative society in all ways. Um,
Well, I
what
think what people forget is that a lot of the problems that, well, for example, I firmly believe in a non-capitalist and non-statist society, meat eating wouldn't be so bad of a problem.
mm-hmm. Especially, yeah, no, capitalism makes literally any consumption unethical. Uh, the closest thing you could possibly get to ethical capitalism, of course, being, which is still technically unethical, would be true social democracy.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing as well. And I saw Reddit. I actually have the Reddit post. Let me link that because someone was talking about this.
Mm,
Basically, and I'll tell you about it while I'm trying to find it. Basically, they were talking about how in Nordic countries, under the Nordic model, it's basically it's harder to radicalize people under the Nordic model than under like what we have now, because they
mm,
think that the Nordic model, especially social democracy,
mm.
is is the standard for leftism, and they get complacent.
Yes, I do believe that people who advocate for social democracy and nothing else are missing the point. However, I actually think that in a globally social democratic world, I actually think that it wouldn't be much harder to radicalize people because you would have to you as long because if everybody is socially democratic, the people on the right would be the people who are the most left right now, especially if it was again a true social democracy where everybody had access to housing, healthcare, education, healthcare including mental health care. It goes without saying, but I have to mention it sometimes. Um, and access to minimal nutritional standards, um, and an ever increasing minimum for everybody. Everybody, of course, once if you can afford to move beyond that under social democracy, that's the goal. But nobody should be homeless. Nobody should have to not be able to go to. No, nobody should have to pay for health care. Especially preventative health care, because if you're gonna get charged like I had a friend who literally went to the hospital to get he had something like a cough or something wrong with his lungs, so he got an X-ray, and they told him that nothing was wrong, and then they
So,
charged him
so
like $1,000.
I guess they deleted their Reddit, so I can't link that to you. But that's basically what they
Oh,
were
they
talking
deleted it.
about. They're criticizing the Nordic model.
Yeah, no, the Nordic model isn't social democracy. It's like a very baby diet light version of social democracy. It is not true social democracy.
Well,
Um,
even I really think also doesn't get acknowledged how, yeah, Europe is a more arguably more progressive, well, is many ways ahead of America in terms of progressivism and stuff like that. But I also
absolutely.
feel like, but I also feel like they ignore things like the racism and a lot of the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
Yes, I believe they do, and I think that instead of a global neoliberal capitalism, if we had a global what's the socially democratic system, then the thing is, even social democracies, because they are capitalism, rely on exploitation of lower working class people, particularly.
Well, social democracy also runs the risk of basically the capitalists still existing in the system basically regain foot.
Yeah, no, literally, there's nothing really to stop a slow and steady degrading of social democracy, which is what
It's
happened.
abandoned.
Hmm?
it's like a band-aid, putting a
Oh
band-aid
yeah,
on the problem.
it's literally it's putting a band-aid on a missing limb. Like, no, that's not anywhere near enough. That's barely
No,
anything. Oh,
just like what a
I think that UBI a little bit of I am not an advocate for UBI. Outside of social democracy, that perhaps includes a small UBI or perhaps a a diminishing negative tax credit. Wh-
yeah.
because it would be cheaper than UBI to just focus on the people who actually need it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, see, one thing that I do believe needs to not be, even though, hear me out on this, because this is a legitimate thing I mentioned to you. As good as the minimum wage is under our system, I do believe it can be its own form of a cancer because it removes the incentive to do better. Because, like, for example, I went to McDonald's uh, yesterday, and
mhm,
I ordered one large high C orange, and they put me down as two medium high C orange, and then
mhm.
they have the nerve to still charge me for the two high C oranges, and then have the nerve to also ask me, "Did you want a large?" After I just told them that. Or when I go to Burger King and they completely will repeatedly get my order wrong,
Ugh.
and I still paid for a wrong order I didn't even realize was wrong because in my head I'm thinking, how do you fuck up an Impossible Whopper playing
Mhm.
only mayo? And
That's
what do you
it.
know? They give it to me. What everything but mayo, even putting still on the ticket only mayo, and
You should
they
have gone
still get
back and
minimum.
told him.
Well, I had already driven off. I didn't think to check because I had people in
Mhm.
behind me, and I wanted to get out of line because
Yeah.
I have less than an hour at school for lunch, and
Mhm.
that's precious time,
Yeah.
especially when dealing with fast food worker incompetence. I ain't got time to waste.
Exactly. Yeah, which is why I totally agree. The minimum wage as it is just terribly un, un ineffective. Um,
Because well, see, the thing is, even though they messed up my order and everything, they still got minimum wage. There's no incentive to do better.
exactly. So because their minimum wage is so low, they just do not care about their job. So
Well, see,
assuming.
my
Mhm.
thing is, and I've said this for I believe after a certain point saying, "Oh, I don't get paid enough. That's why I do a shitty job." I believe in some cases it's an excuse because I'm going to say this now. I don't believe with certain people a pay increase would improve your work quality because you can't work as well. You can't work an entry level or even lower executive job and expect to make five or six figure level set 5 or 6 figure salaries. You've got
Mhm.
to be realistic about your expectations at some point.
Yeah. So that's why I think that all. That's why uh, my solution to that is, of course, it would be either raising the minimum wage to a living wage, but I don't think that that's viable, especially for new businesses and mom and pop businesses.
Well, the thing,
So what?
well,
Wait,
the
let me
thing is,
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
sorry,
So
sorry.
what we would do? Thank you. No worries. So what we would do is we make sure that everybody has a decent minimum standard of living, so that when they go to work, they don't have to worry about being paid like so little that they actually care about doing their job and doing a good thing, because, if they can't do a good job, they're just going to get fired. There's really no reason for them to work there. They should be doing something else. Um,
It is possible under our system, even though it needs to go. I don't like what I call the nihilistic and totalitarian depiction of our system. It is bad, but it
mhm.
is possible to at least, if if you get the example, to go from wearing rags to at least wearing clothing. If you get the example I'm getting at,
Yeah,
like I
clothing
don't.
is way better.
Well, what I mean is that it is possible to at least be as comfortable as possible under our system. Is what I'm saying. It's not a completely totalitarian or
I mean,
hopeless.
you realize that what you just said is it's possible to be as comfortable as possible under our system, which is true for literally any system.
No, I realize that, but what I'm saying, what I mean is
Yeah,
that
what you mean is,
uh, okay, I shot myself in the foot there. But what I mean is that it
I'm
does
listening.
need to go. It does need to go. I grant you, and I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that you can't bitch about it being hopeless when you don't even at least some people don't even at least try to look for a job. You know how the system works. You should at least try and find your niche within it and learn it
Mm-hmm.
well until the system can be able to be go.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's why I would advocate for the band-aid of social democracy, true social democracy, so that we can, once we have that set up and we get that going for a little while, people then become, they can learn and understand their oppression in a way that isn't. They're just trying to focus on surviving and finding their next meal and being able to afford rent and not getting kicked out onto the street. So when that's all done, then I think that is when revolution will need to take place. But we need to get to the state and to the point where the times for revolution, I think, are the most common historical time is where things get so unlivably, unbelievably, indescribably terrible for the working class people to the point that they have no other chance but to violently uphold and revolt against
Yeah.
the upper class. And then
See,
the other
that's
version,
what
I let me hold on. I'm not quite done yet. The other version would be we bring them all the way up globally, as many people as possible, to that ever increasing minimum standard for everybody on the bottom, who's just starting out. And then once they do that, they can educate themselves, because if they're not fit for the job, they should probably be going to school to find something that they are better at. And in the meantime,
yeah.
they could maybe have a part-time job as a fry cook or something like that if they're interested in that food service. Or what I might be doing would be I could keep doing what I'm doing with my working as an RBT, but I could also be doing I would also be fine running public transportation. I think it would be fun to be a bus driver or to be a
Yeah.
train conductor, or even like a state run Uber service where I'm just like I'm given a vehicle that belongs to the state, and then I can drive people around and be the designated driver for people who want to go out and
Yeah.
get drunk and everything like that, and just go from specific places that aren't on like bus stops and stuff.
Yes.
So that's what I would be doing. So what I'm saying is that I think that if everybody had that system, also under my system, we education would be highly encouraged, but not required after like basically high school. I think high school, or not even. Honestly, I'm thinking even just like up to like even 12 years old, basically. Um, if you wanted to just stop, but the way it would work would be school would be the school that you did go was entirely up to you, and school was free throughout your entire life. You would it would be compulsory until about 12 or 13, and then after that it would be entirely voluntary, and you would go where you want to go because you wouldn't have to worry about student debt, you wouldn't have to worry about changing your mind or failing or not being able to handle it, and then you would go find something else. Or if you didn't want to do that, maybe find a non exploitative job, because again, you're not doing that to earn a living. You already have a living. You're doing it to contribute to society and fulfill
Well, see, that's the
your
problem.
goal, your purpose.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons why, as well, greed is a cancer. You can become
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
focused. You can become so focused on greed that, as well,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even take the care to treat your customers well. You just care about that dollar in their pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and so you treat them badly, trying to get their money at the expense of driving them away, and you don't even get their money.
And that would show, and that would be easily visible by the people on your coworkers and your staff members and your people who are voted into management, they would be like, "Hey, it seems like you're not really interested in doing this. Maybe you should try something else, you know?" Because
Yeah,
changing jobs in this society would be totally different. Like right
it
now, you
would be.
lose your job, you lose your livelihood, and by livelihood, in most cases, most jobs don't even afford you a livelihood. So you would be able to go
And the
home.
ones that do,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones that do, when you lose it, in a lot of cases, you don't recover, or you don't ever regain the status you might have once had.
Exactly. And you can't afford your car anymore, and so and if you don't live near public transportation, then you're kind of like, how am I supposed to get a job if I can't even afford a car or a suit or whatever like
That's
that.
not our problem.
Yeah, exactly. So in
Or how
my
job applications are really what I call invasive in their questioning. Like, why do you need to know my kid's age and everything else just to work at the gas station?
Absolutely. Job applications are
Like,
totally coercive, and it's not about what they can do for you, it's about what you can do for them. Like you have to sell
yeah,
yourself to them so that they are willing to rent your labor and buy that from you. What would
yeah.
happen under social
Like, why is
mm-hmm.
why as well do you need to know my interest? How is that relevant?
Yeah, totally irrelevant to corporate capitalist wage labor. But under socially democratized services, you would go to an employment office and be like, hey, you would take out a nice long, like, personality test, find out what you're good at, what you enjoy, what you're interested in. And then they would pair you up with a bunch of different options, and then you would go to each one. And your interview wouldn't even be like you're in an interview. It would just be like, hey, you would automatically be hired. You would go to your training, and then if you are interested and they pass and you say you still want to do this, then they let you do it, and you do that for as long as you want, whether it be
Like, I
6 months, a
never even
year, or
sorry.
even just a week. Uh, and then if you didn't like that,
Like,
then you could go to the next one. Now you can say what you were gonna say.
I do believe as well something that can go in this and hear me on this because I have my reasons for this.
Mm-hmm.
High school and college can also be something to me, in my opinion, that needs to be high school, in my opinion, could be trimmed down because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
your American high schools are chock full of credits and other classes and shit you don't
Mm-hmm.
need. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
like for example, why do I need an art credit? Why do I need a performing art credit? Why is pottery even a class, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Well, pottery is a class because some people want to learn how to make pots. But yeah, I totally agree that the way college is structured now, because again, it's a for-profit system.
Well, col-
It's
well, col- college is another problem because it's a wasp nest for social liberals.
Yeah, exactly. Because the only people that can go to college are people who can afford to, or who get loans in order to do that. That they have to then pay
Yeah,
off, which are exorbitantly high, and you can't even restructure them if you go bankrupt. So this
yeah.
would happen because
Here's
college would be
amazing as
free.
well.
Hmm?
Isn't it amazing as well? And this is something I noticed. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
more rich people seem to be, the more socially liberal they are, and the more lower class they are, the more socially conservative they are. Like, I get that's not the rule, that's just a trend I notice.
Yeah, well, middle class to upper middle class people are educated, but the higher upper class people are educated, but they are educated in the way that they are taught that they are better than those below them and that they deserve to have higher achievement. They have much easier times, getting into those, like, getting into daddy's business or whatever, and having access to all their parents' credit cards and all their sort of savings and inheritance and all that crap that just gives them an entirely unfair advantage that separates them completely from the society. And those people tend to be right wing because they want to entrench their privileges and keep them from others. Whereas, again, if
Well,
all college, oh, an important thing is when I say college, I should replace it with higher learning. During higher education, that can also include vocational school. I think all high school should be vocational. so that people can learn how to
Yeah,
do things like, drive, learn how to, plumb and all that, like go plumbing,
there would be less
HVAC.
of emphasis on sports,
Hmm?
and there would be less of an emphasis on sports
Yeah, no,
because that's something I know.
mm-hmm,
Because that's something I noticed all too often in high school. That
mm-hmm.
basically, if you played sports, you basically got your dick sucked by everyone around you.
Yeah, right. I think, yeah, my biggest regret was not taking sports in high school. I think that sports should
It
be.
shouldn't be a regret because some of the kids I went to school with who did play sports, in my opinion, were the future wife beaters and racists of America.
Well, that's exactly my point. That's why people like us should join them, because I think everybody should have part of the required education years. You should have instead of a PE class, it should be a sports team, an extracurricular thing, so that everybody gets into their best physical shape at a young age, and they learn about diets and nutrition and proper exercise techniques, and they develop the love for the game, because ultimately sports are just games, and you could choose any one you want as long as you chose at least one. It could
Well,
be baseball and football,
well,
or
they
it could
are.
be swim
I don't.
team, it could be cross country, wrestling, it could be whatever, and there could even be
I
more.
don't like the way they get treated as celebrities, though.
Hmm?
Athletes. I don't like the way I don't like the way athletes get treated like celebrities.
And that's why it should be democratized and everybody should be an athlete, because then if everybody is an athlete, then they're no longer the top of the food chain, because they're just like everybody else at that point.
Yeah.
There
Now, correct me
obviously
if I'm
would be
under.
a hierarchy of different sports, but generally, because there's always going to be the jock sort of type, and then the what is it, the typical field hockey, I think, is in my high school, was the popular girls sport. Um, but I think that all of them should have mixed gender, especially in elementary school. I think that teams should be what's the word, co-ed, because they're recently entering puberty, or even before puberty. I think especially before puberty, all 100% of them should be segregated based on, not I'm sorry, the opposite of segregated, should be integrated into
Well, see,
co-ed
see,
sports teams.
when I was in a lot of the mental hospitals I went to,
Mm-hmm.
they they would segregate the patients by gender.
Yeah, but I don't see how that is. No, yeah, obviously they would be changing in different rooms, with, of course, your gender identity
No,
being what
like
mattered.
no, like you literally had a girls unit and you had a boys unit, and I
Mm-hmm.
literally got in trouble for talking to a girl.
Yeah, they don't want you trying to get into relationships in mental health situations. However, I've been in co-ed
I
mental
I
health
wouldn't
hospitals, and
I wouldn't
I think that they're a good thing. I think that
I
relationships
wouldn't
should be discouraged, but I think that they are a good thing overall.
I wouldn't, to be honest, because
Mm-hmm.
well, and I know this isn't really PC to say, but this
Mm-hmm.
is the truth. But a lot of the people I was in the mental hospitals with were, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, real weirdos who aren't relationship material, in my opinion.
Well, yeah,
Like,
generally, if you're in a mental hospital, you're probably not, yeah, you're probably not in your best moment. And honestly, getting in a relationship is probably going to be toxic, because you're both going to be
no,
toxic
like I wouldn't want to. Like, I honestly would not want to be in a relationship with the drug addict near
Mm-hmm.
me who is picking at themselves.
Yeah, well, yeah, and of course, they're probably looking at you and being like, I don't want that crazy person over there.
Oh,
At least that's what they were thinking about with me.
well, see, I would. Well, see, when I was in those places I was in when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, I was I was my heyday to a point was
Mm-hmm.
during the era where teenagers thought weird equaled gay. Oh, he's wearing
Yeah.
a weird shirt. He's gay,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Yeah, as if that makes any difference anyway. Like, yeah, he's gay.
It
It's like,
doesn't.
so what? Maybe, and he's actually
Well,
not even gay anyway, so like, it doesn't even matter.
well, it's just amazing how much the world has changed in over a decade.
It is. It's
Where
truly
now,
astounding and amazing.
where now people don't think that anymore, and it's just shocking.
Yeah, it's great. I'm all for it. The more, the better.
Yeah. one thing I do want to say, and this is something I do want to address because
Mm-hmm.
okay, so it used to be LGBT, but now it's LGBTQ plus because of everything else that came after.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if this ain't the most popular idea, I don't believe in creating more labels for genders and orientations because all you're doing is contributing to labalism. I believe
Mm-hmm.
the more you
Id
create for
pull.
labels, well, I believe the more you labels you create, the more opportunities you leave for discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I
We
believe,
should be
and I
finding our
believe
similarities, not differences.
well, I believe as well that oh, so your label doesn't describe you 100%. That's
Mm.
okay. Embrace your imperfection. It's a,
Exactly.
it's a bougie it's a bougie idea to create dish labels
Mm-hmm.
just because you don't feel 100% perfect with your label.
If your entire personality is one thing, whether that be whatever it is, whether it be your race, your sexual orientation, your, this or that, whatever it is, if your entire personality consists of one trait, you don't have a personality. Like,
Well, see that's
whatever
well,
that
see
is.
that's why on a LGBT on one of the LGBT subreddits I was part of, I
Mm-hmm.
noticed someone had said, "When are cishets gonna quit uh, thinking that your sexuality or gender identity is an expression of it is a fashion statement?" And I responded, "When they quit making it seem like it is, because
Yeah.
this is a popular idea, but there is a part of the LGBT community that makes a contest out of how gay you look, etc. And
Yeah.
that is something I notice, and it needs to be acknowledged.
It's literally just an aspect of capitalism, and like you were saying with that sort of like celebrity idol worship, if you can, identify your, personality trait that goes down to some sort of identity group that you fall in,
Like,
then that
yeah,
identity group can be commodified and targeted and advertised to, so that you can just fall
well,
deeper into that
it,
little space, and then they can
yeah,
sell you and buy. Show how freaking
it,
gay
we'll
you
see.
are.
We'll see. The thing
Rainbow
is, and no
capitalism.
offense, yeah, sorry. We'll see. The thing is, as
No,
well,
don't
and this is
apologize.
something I noticed that
Mm-hmm.
with the LGBT community, and no offense, because I know you dyed your hair red at one point, but this is
Mm-hmm.
what leading into my point.
Mm-hmm.
How it is not conservative to say that when people dye their hair blue, green, etc., that it looks tacky. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a conservative idea. It does look tacky. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it does look
It's just
weird.
an
It's not.
opinion.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
that's literally just your opinion. It doesn't matter. I actually
No,
am looking
I
forward to
know
doing
that. I
that again.
wasn't claiming it did, but I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
that what I'm saying is that people take opinions and
Mm-hmm.
they label them conservative, liberal, socially conservative, socially liberal, etc. When they're
Mm-hmm.
not. They're just opinions. They're not claiming them as fact.
No, yeah, literally not. They are claiming that it's fact, but it's their opinion. That's why, identity politics, id poll, I like to call it stupid poll. It's
Yeah,
just a stupid poll.
well, see, one of the things I love about people now is they think disagreeing with evidence automatically invalidates it. Like
Yeah,
that's
that
something like,
doesn't, no, you
well, no,
can't
see,
invalidate the truth.
well,
Statistics can
well, no,
lie,
see,
but the truth is the truth. Facts are
well, see what
facts.
I mean. Well, see what I mean is a lot of my points I make to my grandfather, even when I can back them up, he's like, I still disagree, even when he's clearly wrong, as if that makes a difference. You get what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Some people are just entrenched in their beliefs, and there's unfortunately really nothing that you can do, and they've just made their
Well, see,
decision, and you can hope,
and
but
I believe I said this to you.
mm-hmm.
Confirmation bias is like cancer. The
Mm-hmm.
chances of someone overcoming it are lower than it consuming it.
Yeah. However, it is possible to get over it. Unfortunately, capitalist patriarchy is designed to
Yeah.
exacerbate that as much as possible. So it incentivizes people to dive deeper into that rather than come out of it.
Well,
Which is
what this
why.
as well is like at baseball games and stuff, or
Mhm.
how at school every morning we had to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Why?
Mm-hmm.
I just asked
Cold
myself
War
why.
stuff.
What's the
Yeah.
matter if we know?
Yeah, well, thankfully, even in my time, I was actually one of the kids that, towards the end, at least, after my sophomore year, or during even, I don't quite remember, I didn't really stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I was like, the whole point of the Pledge of Allegiance is that you don't have to stand for it. Like, the Pledge of Allegiance is the pledge to freedom, and so since I don't
It is
agree with the country that is using my taxes
even
and
at
my
my
parents'
time.
taxes the way I don't want to, then I don't feel represented, and so I use my free speech to kneel and say, no, I'm not going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well,
And,
see, even in my it was like that. But keep in mind, you grew up in Connecticut. I
yeah,
grew up in redneck, so you
our
couldn't exactly
experiences
not
are
do
very different. Yeah, I am very privileged, and but the thing about privilege is that it's you have to utilize it because unfortunately people don't have that privilege. So as someone with privilege, I am obligated to share that privilege, particularly because almost all of it, in fact, pretty much, I can't even think of any that isn't. Basically, that I was just born with. All, being white, being cis, being male, being like queer. Oh, I was gonna say, I think LGBT should just be replaced with just queer. I think queer
I
covers
agree.
everything. Yeah, the shorter and the
What's
simpler,
interesting?
better. Not to mention,
What's interesting?
everybody's queer. Everybody can be queer. Even me, who's a cis, straight, white male, is queer because I wish I wished for the longest time that I was actually bi because I
I
wanted to
thought
be bi. I'm like missing out on half the population of people that I could date and fool around with. I actually dated a black guy for like a couple months just to make absolutely sure that I wasn't straight. And you know what's interesting? I loved him. I thought that he was great. We had a wonderful relationship. I'm
yes.
just not
You,
attracted to male physical features. You know?
yeah, you did tell me about this.
Oh, I did? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we've been talking for a long time. I'm glad that we're finally having this conversation. I'm sorry that it took so long.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I'm glad now that I've started my medical marijuana regimen. It's been, oh my god, my life has been so much better because
Well, they actually legalized
mhm.
marijuana federally not too long ago. Delta 8 actually.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, and that has THC in it, and that's a federal legalizing for recreational purposes.
It is, but sadly, you have states that are decriminalizing it. I mean, that are criminalizing it, sadly. But yes,
Yeah.
technically, it's federally legal.
Really, I
But
only thought that you could I only thought that you could like uh.
well, let me put it to you this way: it
Mhm.
is legal. The states just have to set up legislation.
From what I understand, and obviously you know more about this than I do, but from what I understand, the way
I don't. I
states'
just know
rights.
slightly more.
Oh, okay. Um, from what I understand, the way states' rights versus federal laws work is that as long as states are implementing less restrictive laws, then it's okay. They cannot They
We'll
cannot
see.
have more restrictive laws, which is what
We'll see.
the
Let me put it to you this way: the current
mhm.
situation now, it's federally legal, but at some states, at the state level, it's illegal.
Um, yeah, so that doesn't quite make sense to me. But that's why things like gay marriage can be illegal federally, but if you legalize it in your state, it's okay because you're actually giving
Or like
people more freedom.
or like how you have state bans on abortion despite Roe versus Wade. That's the best example I can give.
Um, I don't think there are any state bans on abortions, are there?
There is Texas has one currently, and there was an Alabama, I believe, had one recently.
I know that the Texas law, it didn't outlaw abortion per se, but what it did was it made it so that if you um,
We'll see the
ratted out
irony.
people,
We'll
you
see.
could get a bounty.
Sorry, the irony of the pro-life movement is
Hmm.
they're pro-life yet kill abortion activists and bomb clinics. And ironically,
Yeah.
some of the most notable instances happened in Florida.
Yeah, honestly, the thing
They
is,
also support and they also support the death penalty and support war.
yeah, forced birth people, aka they call themselves pro-life, but they're actually just forced birth people, because they are just liars and dishonest people. They don't care about life. They only care about the baby once it's born, and then they'll just drop it on the floor and let it do whatever it needs to,
See,
and just drop it
well, see,
by.
that's the thing. They're like, you're preventing this kid from living its life. Well,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the family it's born into, that may not happen anyway.
Yeah, no, it's literally, yeah. If you're actually pro life, what you would want is for people to give birth to these kids and then give them all of the resources that they possibly can for these people to take care of these
Or,
children that they
yeah,
were not
or,
ready to have.
or see, what bothers me is, oh, well, you can give it up for adoption. How often do people actually end up doing that, even those who don't want their kids?
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you're having an abortion, you
They don't even understand what abortion is either. When you listen to them talk about it, they don't really understand what it is.
yeah, no, they because they're being dishonest. They don't care. They don't want abortion, and so they come up with post hoc rationalizations wherever they can find them that are hypocritical and
Yeah,
just wrong.
like, yeah, like for example, saying that God would consider it murder. Yet God killed babies too.
Yeah, he literally. Yeah, I've always said that too. Like, what about the abortions that God, like God has? Like, clearly,
Or
not
how he
every baby is meant to be
he
born.
literally killed David and Bathsheba's son according to the Bible as punishment. Or what about
Hmm.
killing all the firstborn kids of Egypt?
Yeah, yeah. God clearly doesn't have a problem. Well, that's not quite. That's actually literal murder because those children were already born. Um, but yeah,
But I mean, the point still stands.
mm, my stance on abortion is absolutely like I am pro-choice 100% of the time.
I
If
am
you
pro-abortion, but and this isn't and what I'm about to say next isn't really anything about abortion. But hear me out on this. You really should get birth control though.
Yeah, no, I'm with the free, legal, safe, and rare kind of go. I think the best way to prevent unwanted pregnancies is to educate people as much as you can about sex and contraceptives and safe sex practices
Yeah.
and other things that you can do besides just intercourse and coming inside of each other.
Well, see, this is another thing as well, going back to God in the Bible,
Hmm.
how Satan, despite being built up as the enemy of God, doesn't even really appear that much. And when he does, he's not really depicted as being that evil.
Yeah, no, he really just plays games with God, like with what's his name, the guy who like,
So,
yeah, Job, who fucking, yeah,
and
he killed,
God
yeah.
could have told him to stop it, but he told him go ahead. You just can't kill him.
Yeah, literally, like that's so fucked up. Like God is omnipotent, right? So he would know the end of that anyway. So he could just literally, without it ever happening, just snap his fingers and show the devil that yeah, no, he would
See, the
still do it,
devil
and then never have to do it in the
Well,
first
see,
place.
the devil is literally God because God created the devil, and according to the Bible, anything that comes from God is God.
Yeah, all is a part of God. So yeah, Satan is just as much of a part of a God. In fact, Satan, was the only one that was like, "Hey, maybe God, you shouldn't be a fucking jealous brimstone
Well, see, that's the
shooting."
thing. Interestingly, they claim he is a rebel. That much is clear. But
Hmm.
if you pay attention, they're vague about what that entails.
Hmm. Yeah, because again, it's they don't actually believe it. They're just using it for control, and
Well,
they want to
well,
power.
I'd argue no Christian today believes in it. They're either
Hmm.
indoctrinated or or they're opportunists or were conned.
Yeah, all
Like
ain't.
my great grandfather actually was not raised Christian at all. My
Mm,
grandma duped him into it as a condition of marriage. And see, that's the thing as well. My grandma and her dementia addled mind revealed that she had a fiance before my grandfather, and this guy left her for someone else. And given how my grandma is now, it's made clear to me that he left her because she's just a bitch. And then my grandfather, my great grandfather, who she supposedly initially wasn't even interested in, what do
Mm-hmm.
you know? This guy leaves her, and what do you know? She's interested.
Yeah, that's because we don't teach people proper, self understanding and self love and romantic relationships.
See, my grandfather actually, he was never the brightest, honestly. He joined the he dropped out of high school because he wasn't smart enough to sustain the material, and then joined the Air Force.
Mm. Well, you have to be kind of smart to join the Air Force. You have to, fly
You do,
planes or
but
understand how they
you
work.
do, but the thing is, though, he stayed a low level mechanic pretty much all his career,
Mm.
and then and then because there supposedly was a freeze on his department, and when it became over, the freeze ended. He didn't he didn't pass the rank up test because he didn't study, and then
Uh,
he dropped out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I
He's
think
so he's also one of those people who's like Chris Kyle, heavily exaggerates what he did.
Chris Kyle, being the. Could you remind me?
American Sniper, who,
Oh yeah, well
well,
that's just a movie too, and a book based on his personal account. That it was. I'm
well, the thing
sure.
is, he lied about one of the
Hmm.
chapters in the book, and then that makes you wonder what else did he lie about.
Yeah, it's a fictionalized account. He wrote it as a story. It's not, it's based on true events, inspired by true events. But he was.
It's ironic. It is
Mhm.
ironic his death. He survived all that only to get killed in a gun rage by a fellow Marine.
Dang, wait, why? Was it a negligent discharge?
The guy was crazy.
Oh, so the guy went crazy and shot him?
No, he was already crazy. I forget the whole story. You can Google this.
Hmm. Hold on, I'll look it up. Death of Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle's death, the real story behind American Sniper. Uh, Taya Kyle reveals how American Sniper brought her husband back to life and why she trusted Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper. Subscribe now, blah, blah, blah. With the wide release of American Sniper, blah, blah, blah. He's widely regarded as the deadliest sniper in U.S. history. The Odessa, Texas native grew up hunting with his father and had an uncanny aim for marksman as a marksman. He joined the Navy in 1999, and in his best-selling 2012 autobiography, upon which the film is based, Kyle wrote about the first long-range kill shot. As depicted in the film's tense trailer, Kyle opened fire as ordered on a woman approaching a group of Marines with a hand grenade. Oof. Man, that's
Um,
war is hell.
here's it goes into his death. I can
Mm-hmm.
link this to you.
Yeah, let's see. Cool.
Okay, I just sent you
Yeah,
a link.
I'm just gonna click it. Hold up. Yep. All right. So the murders of Chris. There was more than one of Chris.
Yeah,
Oh, and Chad Littlefield occurred on February 2nd, 2013, at a shooting range near Chalk Mountain, Texas. Kyle, who was a former Navy SEAL, and his friend Littlefield were walking down the range to set targets up when Eddie Ray Ruth opened fire and hit both of them. Oh my God, was he there with them, or did he come?
it tells it.
Ruth, excuse me. Ruth was a 25, 20. Jeez.
Hopefully you don't have COVID.
Yeah, right. Pray. I just got tested and negative. Uh, Ruth was a 25-year-old Marine who had experienced post-traumatic stress disorder. The case attracted national attention due to Kyle's fame as an author, of course, and best-selling biography. Why do I have this knife right by my eyes? I'm not gonna do that. Murders. Chris Kyle had begun working with the veterans after leaving the military. Ruth's mother worked on at the school. Let's see. So, perpetrator Eddie Reloth was born September 30th, 1987, in Texas, to Raymond and Jody Roth. He wanted to join the Marine Corps since he was 13 years old and did so right after high school. He was deployed to a base near Baghdad in September 2007. where he worked for 6 months as a prison guard and repaired weapons. In January 2010, he was sent on a humanitarian mission to Haiti. He was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps in July 2011 after serving for 7 years. In late July 2011, Ruth was diagnosed by clinicians at Veterans Hospital as having PTSD and was prescribed antipsychotics and antidepressants, which, most people are diagnosed with that, especially soldiers. He was,
Yeah.
and so many of them go undiagnosed too, which is even worse. He
Yeah.
was
Something I
experiencing.
want to bring.
Hmm?
Something I was thinking about because I mentioned this earlier. Well, when I said COVID, it made me think of something. So you hear
Mm-hmm.
a lot lately in the wake of COVID about xenophobia, and I
Mm-hmm.
do agree xenophobia is a problem. Well, any kind of phobia is a problem. But one thing I don't like about anti-generalization advocates, well, people who say you can't generalize. I get
Mm-hmm.
that it's true, but I genuinely feel like people who say that don't understand the psychology behind generalization. For example, most people aren't thinking, oh, well, I can't blame every Asian Chinese person for COVID. They're thinking,
Of course not.
no, these people came from an area where this disease came from that's killing people worldwide.
Uh, that's a good question. It's just all craziness.
Now, I get that I'm saying some pretty bizarre things, and probably not PC, but
Mm-hmm.
keep in mind how I sound isn't what I'm intending to say. But what I am intending to say is that the best way I can describe it to you is this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was complaining about how to my grandfather earlier, how they how I had to spend an hour in class today because they had homecoming at my school today. Well,
Oh, cool.
not my school. See, my school is run by the district,
Mm-hmm.
the public school district, even though it's a trade school.
Mm.
So when the public schools here were having homecoming and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
my school got let out early because they some of the people there had kids in the pep rally, I mean, in the homecoming parade. Some people were doing things for skills, which is like showing off what you learned in class, a type of competition thing, parades in the floats in the parade, etc. Well, I just spent an extra hour a day in class, despite having no work to do, and I was the only one there because my teacher's petty and he cares more about hours than convenience. So my grandfather was like to me, "Well, look at it this way. At least you got to make up because I was out yesterday for something else, at least you got to make up time today that you missed yesterday," which honestly felt dismissive towards how I felt.
Mm.
That's kind of why I said to him, you can make a positive out of a negative, but sometimes doing so feels dismissive of how the person's feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not cool. Um.
Like some things I also believe you really shouldn't try and make positives out of negatives. Because I do believe
Hmm.
unrealistic optimism is a thing people need to acknowledge is real.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't see. I mean, are you saying that in all cases you shouldn't view the class as half full, or you shouldn't make jokes? You shouldn't make light of tragedy.
No, what I'm saying is that like you you should acknowledge that you can't discriminate, but I also believe that psychology towards I mean understanding of psychology towards things like generalization could also be beneficial towards combating generalization. Like I do believe you should understand your enemy as much as trying to combat them if you get what I'm saying.
Mm. Yeah.
Like like when you go to war, people do forget that what you're taught about the enemy, they're taught about you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. It's all projection. They literally say the exact same things like these people are cowards, they are the aggressors and we need to defend our honorable country and show them
It's
who's
like
boss.
just like what
And
we're
they're both
like,
saying
for
the same
example,
thing.
we were taught about the Nazis. The Nazis were
Mhm.
taught about us.
Exactly. In fact, the Nazis actually got a lot of their ideas of eugenicism and all that stuff from U.S. Segregation and our eugenicist movement.
Well, even though this isn't a popular idea, I don't believe eugenicism is a completely
Hmm.
horrible idea. I get why, but I don't believe that attempting to wipe out diseases that should be wiped out, and I mean
Hmm.
things like cerebral palsy, I don't believe using genetics to
Hmm.
try and get rid of cerebral palsy is a completely abhorrent idea.
Yes, and I agree that I think solving things like that is a good idea. However, the difference there is a wide chasmous difference between abortion and eugenics. The thing
But
about
isn't eugenics? But isn't eugenics, if I understand it, basically a type of social engineering?
well, the steel man in my own words would be eugenics is trying to eliminate unwanted genetic, whatever them being, things, including things like Down syndrome and cerebral palsy, trying to breed them out of existence.
But is
However,
that necessarily a bad thing?
however, yeah, and on its face, it doesn't sound that bad. But the thing is, eugenics is up to us. We are the ones deciding what, like, who gets to decide what traits are worth passing on and what not. Like, it's
Oh, I
not
see the problem.
the family.
Yeah, I see the
Yeah,
problem there.
I see. I think that if the family doesn't want to do that, I believe in abortion. However, I think that um, the best option, if anything, should be perhaps trying to eliminate genetic diseases. However, other
Yes.
certain traits are not necessarily things like that because what they want to do is they want to abort or what's the word? They would want to do things like give vasectomies, involuntary vasectomies to people who are poor or people who have, genetic disabilities like cerebral palsy or whatever, even though somebody with cerebral palsy might not, like, their chances of giving birth to somebody else without cerebral palsy is just fine. However, I do think that yeah, no, I don't think eugenicists. I've heard arguments that have convinced me. I used to be kind of somewhat sort of on the fence about what eugenicism was because I wasn't quite entirely sure what it actually meant. But I would definitely
Yeah.
feel, even though some people could, I'm sure, definitely argue that this is perhaps a form of eugenics, I think
Yeah.
that being able to change potentially the genetics of your child before they're born, which is kind of the plot of Gattaca, is a fine thing, but it would have to be completely free and accessible to everybody, along with the rest of all medical procedures.
By the way,
And it would be up to the family, not up to the state or anybody else. It would be entirely
okay.
voluntary. If you wanted to have a child who had Down syndrome, and you wanted to give birth to them, and you wanted to do that, that oh man, I don't know though because I wish that it would be up to the kid, but you can't really make. You have to make their own choice. However, if I was a parent expecting, I would definitely want to talk to my, future, baby mother-in-law, the mother of my future child. I would want to see what her opinion on it was, and I would certainly be open to the idea of perhaps, you know, because I don't see anything ethically wrong with provided that it is voluntary and accessible to everybody at the same level of effectiveness. No, no, paying extra for better options. No, everybody has 100% all the same options, absolutely
Yeah.
free, and it is entirely voluntary on them. But I
Yeah.
don't see why I would have a problem with being able to eliminate any genetic
Yeah.
hereditary disorders that I might carry, like a bad heart potentially, or you know uh, a predisposition to depression because I have a history of depression in my family. So I would have no problem if they were able to do that with no side effects. uh,
Yeah.
I would have no problem. I mean, giving birth to a child that was predisposed to not getting things like depression or not having to deal with, cerebral palsy or any other sort of, handicapping defects.
Yeah.
Not, and again, 100%, nothing wrong whatsoever with those people that do experience those challenges from my perspective. Absolutely, my undying respect goes out to those people, especially it seems from in my experience, people with Down syndrome tend to be some of the happiest people that I know. They tend to be very content with life, and they are very just happy people, and they see the best in most people, and thankfully
Well,
they, in
well,
general anyway.
I think that's because the Down syndrome. Well, I had a friend with Down syndrome, and
Hmm.
what I think you're seeing would be best described by if you took like LSD or something. You view the world as
Like that all the
as
time.
yeah.
I could see that a little bit. You know what I've noticed, and
I
something
think
that I've said.
I think due to their problems, their what you're seeing as positive is their their cognitive impairments make them blissfully unaware.
Yeah, their neuro divergencies can make them sort of blissfully, yeah, sort of. Again, I don't want to sound at all like I may sound like I am being a little bit patronizing or anything, but no, I mean this entirely from the bottom of my heart. That they seem like very happy and joyful people that bring joy into others too, because they're so, like you said, they are just so, they're very blissful. They have their bad days, of course. Nobody's perfect, and I think that they have the capacity to bring joy to themselves and to others, and I really like it. And they
That's
also get along with each other. It seems, and more every day as technology develops, that they
well, see, that's the thing
get
as
along.
well. I was diagnosed as having Asperger's syndrome, but
Hmm.
given how my childhood was and some of my other problems,
Oh, can I interrupt
I
for one
think
second, please? Just for 1 second. I'm sorry. If not, if you can keep going if you want. I was just gonna say if you've ever heard of Special Books by Special Kids, the YouTube channel, I highly recommend them.
yeah,
They watch them. They
I
are so
watched
great.
them.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
know that I
I
watched
love
them.
them.
He's
Yes.
actually based in Jacksonville,
He's based in where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, cool. So he's not too far from you, presumably. We don't need to dox ourselves, though. We don't need to necessarily say exactly where we are.
No,
But
no, that would just be weird.
yeah, no. But yeah, yeah, no. He's oh my God, such a great guy. He's actually one of the inspirations as to why I started
He
and
is,
wanted to become an
and,
RBT.
but something I noticed though, and this is
Hmm.
something that needs to be said, even though hear me out on this. I do agree that like there was a woman on she wasn't on there I believe, but she was notable on that for her physical deformity. World's
Hmm.
Ugliest Woman was her title. I don't know
Mm.
if you've heard of
Yeah, she has a
her.
YouTube channel or a TikTok or something. I think
Yes.
I've heard of her.
See,
Yeah,
see,
she's awesome.
this isn't meant to be cruel or
Hmm.
anything, but and this is as objective as possible. But some of these deformities people have, like,
Neuro,
okay,
yeah, I think handicaps or neuro divergencies are the more
yeah,
politically correct term, if that matters to
yeah,
you.
neurodivergent. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, anyways,
at
I
the
saw an
moment,
art,
anyway.
and I believe that, and not article, but she, this is part of it. I believe she
Hmm.
was on SBSK. Um, well,
Hmm.
these girls, they were conjoined twins, and it
Mm.
was a girl with two heads on one
Yep.
body,
Yep.
and
I've
they
actually
were
I saw her on TV a long time ago when I was a kid, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I was like, oh
where they
my
were
gosh,
teachers,
what? Yeah, they
where
became
they were teachers.
teachers. Yeah, yeah.
Well, well, see, and I believe they discussed this in their video. I
Hmm.
have a problem with them wanting to be kindergarten teachers. I don't have a problem with them being teachers, but for kids that young, how could
Hmm.
you ever possibly explain that to them? And not to be rude, this is a fact. Some of the deformities, they're horrifying. They're not easy
Well,
on the eyes to look.
actually, I think that that is the exact reason why young children and kindergarten teachers are the best time. Because imagine if they went into middle school or something like that. Because that's when the kids would start to be cruel. Whereas,
Well,
young
I
like
do believe
elementary school
school.
children are a lot more, yeah, thank you very much, are a lot more open to things like that. They have of course, obviously their first reaction would be like, oh my gosh, she has two heads. But after that, I feel like, because she's such, they're I shouldn't say she, they are such sweet young ladies that I think that they make perfect kindergarten teachers. And I mean, imagine, I wish I could have been in her class potentially if I was born at the right time and in the right place, because I think that that would be so amazing to have a set of conjoined twins in that way that were my teacher. I think that you could learn so much from them, especially about biology and things. It would be such a fun thing.
And I do agree, but I believe what people overlook is the reason why kids in middle school and high school are cruel is because we write off their cruelty as kids being kids. Well, people forget also monkey
I
see,
don't.
monkey do.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I
no, I
no,
totally see what you're saying.
no, I know you don't. I just mean that people do.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, when I was in middle school, I was a brat too. It's just that you're in that rebellious phase and, you're trying to fit in and be cool. And the best way to be cool is to be mean generally. And so they
Well,
put each
see,
other down.
my view on teenagers, and you'd be most aware of this because you would be. I think they're old enough to at least be aware of this song.
Hmm.
Teenagers by MCR. That
Yep.
song is
Yep.
my
Hmm.
that song is my view of teenagers.
Yeah, that was certainly the way things were when we were in high school. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
22.
22. Yeah, so we're similar in the same age. I'm 26. I'm actually about to be 27 on the 30th, so it's coming up. Uh,
I'm technically, well, actually, I'm technically 21. I was just rounding up because my birthday's the day after yours.
oh, that's funny.
Halloween.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about rounding up too, but I figured why not just be specific right now.
See, yeah, Halloween would sound cool to a point, but growing up in Florida, where I live at,
Hmm.
basically they believe Halloween's the devil's holiday.
Yeah, you have. I'm sorry to hear how much of a religious indoctrinating
I just need more, like,
life you had.
especially with autism as
Oh
having
my
sensory.
god. Yeah.
I don't like the heat and humidity. I wish I was somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. It can be, we get a nice mix in Connecticut. We get a little bit of everything. We have
We'll
sometimes.
see, especially, we'll see, especially in Florida. Try living in Florida
Mm-hmm.
with cheap grandparents who are on blood thinners. So
Mm.
regardless of whatever the weather, they keep the house at 80 Fahrenheit, and
Uh,
they keep the AC on automatic. You know what that means, right? So
it doesn't
basically, if
turn on very much.
yeah, and
Uh,
I'm like, why even have an AC at all?
mm. Wouldn't it be so
Well,
nice if you could have a house that you could live in, that like an apartment that was your own, along with a nice apartment
would it
building
be?
next to a
Well, see,
park?
wouldn't it be nice? It would be even nicer after my grandfather had retired from the military, he had gone with what he initially considered and moving my grandma my great grandma and my great uncle and my grandma back to Ohio like he intended.
Oh
But he
wow.
decided, well, he wasn't on blood thinners at the time, so he didn't want to move there because of the weather. But now I'm like, why even live in Florida? That don't make a difference apparently.
Ugh. Yeah, literally. Yeah,
The,
cause it's you still have to blast the heat anyway. Yeah.
well, see,
So,
the irony is that they're anti-marijuana, yet
uh,
they're on so much medication they could run a pharmacy. And the irony is
mhm.
that if they actually smoked marijuana, a lot of the prescription pills they take they wouldn't need.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Capitalist
it's
innovation,
it's
right? Mm.
yeah, it's ironic to see people anti-marijuana, but at the same time pro prescription pills.
Can you? Oh my God! I bet we can't even imagine how many oops, how many prescription
And
chemicals. Mm,
I hate the legalization movement because they don't want it legalized for the benefits. They want it legalized for taxes. Like my mother is literally like the reason
mm-hmm.
why marijuana is illegal is because the government wasn't smart enough to tax it. I'm like, why does it need to be taxed to be legal? Why can't it just be legal because it's a plant?
Yeah, well, it would be part of like the luxury tax, like alcohol is taxed and cigarettes and things like that.
My view is, and especially this is why I'm an anarchist. Doesn't
Mm,
the well to quote South Park because they were making fun of Bono, how
mm-hmm.
in this episode Bono wanted a #1 trophy, and Stan was like, "Dude, you have a TV show, a band, tons of fans, charities, everyone loves you. At some point, can't you just fuck off a little and be #2?" And
Mm-hmm.
he got offended. Well, that's how I feel about the government. I feel like that's why I'm an anarchist. You have
Mm-hmm.
tons of money and taxes from other things, a monopoly on everything, etc. At some point, can't you just fuck off a little and allow something to not be illegal or legal, just not on the books, and you just don't care? You don't need to monopolize or gain from it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the best way to do taxes is to literally just like
Like when I see as
half
well
our
kids can't
military
even have
budget.
a lemonade stand because they need a vendor's license, that disgusts me.
Yeah, I think that the best tax situation that we can implement right now would be to like at the absolute least cut the military budget in half as soon as physically possible and then remove all like
Well, see,
fines and taxes and everything like that for anybody under $1 million. Once.
the bizarre thing is that
Mm-hmm,
when you hear pro-military people are like, the troops are defending our freedom. How
mm-hmm,
we haven't been in an actual war since like World War II. As I
yeah.
pointed out, every war America has been in since
Mm-hmm.
World War II, we've either instigated or inserted ourselves.
Yeah. I think also that's the other thing too is instead of actually doing anything at home, all we're doing is imperializing the rest of the world so that we can enact neoliberal capitalism and bring in all the globalized corporations and they can start taking over the markets there and then they can exploit
Yeah.
those people and leave the own country in the dust.
Like
That's
what they did,
mhm,
what they did. I think it was Nicaragua or down South America when they killed Salvador Allende
mhm,
and instituted a fascist government by the CIA
mhm. Yeah,
when they killed that.
so you could have you so literally if we just halved the US military budget completely in half as soon as possible, maybe not like overnight, but you know, started cutting that in half and then like I said starting our progressive tax system for anybody who makes over $1 million and then just have a progressive tax system for anything all the way up that into billion 10 billion $100 billion and then basically eventually even perhaps putting a cap
Yeah.
on it or something like that. That's pretty controversial. People don't always want a cap, but I think okay, maybe not a cap, but like a 99% tax rate over like $1 billion. I think is
Yeah,
totally fine.
thinking, well, on
Hmm.
that Endcom server we were a part of, they were one thing that I don't like, even though yes, I do get why, but hear me out on this. I
Hmm.
don't think anti-troop as an individual. I mean, yes, I don't like the troops, but as an individual, I don't think the sentiment is fair because, as I pointed out, even on that server and someone else did, most
Hmm.
people today join the military because they don't want to be homeless or want free college.
And then guess how many fucking homeless veterans there are?
Yeah. Well, well, I mean, I didn't say, and I don't think, and this person didn't claim to either, that our solutions were ideal or that it even was a solution. I'm just pointing out why people do it.
Yeah. Well, no, they do it because it's capitalism and it's power and it's, it's just a system of,
That's why,
criminalizing
that's
poverty.
that's why most soldiers as well act like high school jocks.
Yeah, because they went in right after high school because they can't afford college, they have no other
They
prospects,
were
and
too
their family
stupid to
probably did the
succeed.
military too. Hmm?
That's why some people and this isn't a thing that's a popular idea, but this is something that needs to be said. Some people only succeed in minimum wage jobs or only able to get maybe a lower management job because you have no skills or intelligence. So,
Hmm.
I mean, some people have no skills or intelligence and are stupid, and that's why they don't
Yeah.
get some of the jobs they do.
That's why education of all forms needs to be absolutely free and encouraged, but not mandatory. Because the second it becomes
No,
mandatory, then it loses at least 50% of the effectiveness. When it is
yeah,
self-directed, self-choiced, absolutely free, you can drop out anytime and change to something else. Sign up for the next one. That's
that's why public
that's
education system now is so shitty.
that and the fact that all public education systems are funded by property
The
taxes.
government.
So, no, not the government. They're not. That's the problem. They're funded by property taxes. So, the
Um,
states pay for them. So, if you have. That's why nice neighborhoods have nice schools, and
and
urban
that's
neighborhoods with way more kids have way less funded schools because their property
and that's why
taxes are so low because the property values are so low.
school shootings mainly happen in public schools and not private schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and private schools make things even worse because then you actually have to pay to get in. So the only people who can get into those are those who can afford them. And therefore, since they can afford them, they're already, born into life on a silver platter with their,
Yeah, I hate to say this
their
though, and I know this
privilege.
sounds very antithetical to being an anarchist, but given what I went through in public school, not just the bullying, but the horrible education I received, I'd
Hmm.
rather have gone to a private school. I know it sounds antithetical, but I would have gotten a better education.
Yeah, because it's funded by people who are paying for it. So yeah, if your parents could pay for it, then yeah, you would get a better education, which is
And
completely and
that's
totally unfair. That's an unjustifiable hierarchy. You cannot
and that's why
self-evidently justify that.
and that's why school shootings don't happen there because better security. They don't really care about the safety. They just don't want the kids to be killed to get the parents' money.
Yeah, exactly. That's why there's so much drug abuse in those places too, because they don't want to kick the kid out because then they don't get their parents' money.
Yeah.
They're way
Well,
more
that's
lenient. And they have
problem.
way better equipment and way better teachers, and so they just get a better education system that is
Well,
robbing other people of that knowledge that they all deserve, as knowledge is
that's
the gift of humanity.
and that's why as well at soup kitchens, the food they serve there is garbage,
Exactly,
and that
because
food
it's
at food
unfunded.
pantries, the food is garbage too. It's
Yeah,
just food people don't want.
because the Republican Party, the fascists, they want to criminalize and get rid of poor people, even though that's the working class. They just want to destroy them. They just want nothing
They
to do
don't
with
want to
them.
get rid of homelessness. They want to eradicate the homeless.
Yeah, they want to outlaw homelessness. I want to outlaw homelessness, but they want to outlaw homelessness by making being homeless illegal. I want to outlaw homelessness by making allowing homelessness illegal. You should not have there there are there are
Yeah,
millions of more empty houses than there are homeless people. There are just a couple 100,000 to maybe a million homeless people across the United States, and there are over
That's
3 million empty homes that we have.
yeah.
Each of
That's
them could
why
get their
even
own,
though
and they'd be done, and there'd be more.
sorry.
Now
This
I'm
is
done.
a unique take, but
Hmm.
I do feel like growing up in the area I lived in, even though yes, I would have lived in another area, I also feel it was beneficial to me because here's a problem, and I made a Reddit post about this.
Hmm.
Growing up in a socially progressive area can also be harmful because it can
Hmm.
make you blind to the bigotry around you because you didn't grow up in it,
Absolutely.
so you don't have any experience with it. That's
Hmm.
why, for example,
Liberalism
on the
is toxic.
well, see, that's why on that Ancom server I was a part of, that's
Hmm.
why, and I noticed this a lot. That's why when any anti-Christian or anti-religious sentiments I expressed got quickly beaten or swept under the rug. I noticed many of the people who were against me, for the most part, lived in places like Chicago or the mid or the West Coast, etc.,
Hmm.
where stuff like religious lynchings didn't happen or don't happen, so they don't
Mm.
believe it's real.
Yeah, they're just not exposed to it. Yeah, liberalism is that enlightened centrist ideal of, everybody's an idiot except for me. Why don't we
Yeah.
just, incrementally try to make things better, and then they get 10 times worse when the other guy gets elected, and then we have to start,
or I
we
didn't
take one
or I
step
didn't
forward,
have a
two back.
negative or I didn't have a negative experience with such and such. So that means no one else has, and
Yeah,
that the
right?
majority
Hmm.
or they also believe that the majority experiences aren't negative.
Yeah, it's because,
Like
and
that's
of
why
course it's on the news. They only exacerbate those things because
that's
they
why
get paid to
like I noticed this as well
show
when
you
I
certain
criticize
things and not
restaurant
others.
or fast food workers.
Hmm.
I noticed they always talk about how positive their experiences were with them. Well, yes, I have had positive experiences, but I also believe that just like you can let negative experiences be a bias towards something, I believe the same can be said with positive experiences.
Yeah. Well, I've read this book called The Happiness Hypothesis, and part of its one of its chapters is about how having a truly happy and blessed life is actually less good than having a generally happy life where you experience minor and physically able to understand uh, many traumatic events that you overcome and learn from. And they make you a better person. Obviously, having too
We'll see.
many of those is also a problem, but having the right
We'll see.
variety of about like two-thirds good experiences to about one-third or one quarter to three-quarters ratio of bad experiences to good experiences. Because once
Yeah,
you do that, it's basically like a vaccination. It's like an inoculation to those things. Like I think of
yeah.
a time in my life when I was about maybe like 6 or 7 years old. I had this bunny that I would sleep with that was wrapped up in a blanket, and I slept with it, and it was called Bingo, and I got it before I could like form memories. Basically, what my parents say is we were at like an Easter event or something
You
like
were
that.
6 to 7.
Hmm?
You said you were 6 to 7.
Well, when I lost it. But when I got
Oh,
it, I was like what, like two maybe. I wasn't really forming memories. Apparently, what
oh,
happened
okay.
was my this guy in a bunny suit was like handing out these like bunny toys, these little stuffed animals, and
I don't know if I really know where this is going.
well, let me
Sorry.
finish. Yeah. So then I pointed at one and I was like bingo, and that was like what I named it from then on. And I don't remember that. That's my parents told me. But anyway, so when I was about 6 or 7, I loved this bingo. She was my like she was my favorite stuffed animal. And then one day I went on my friend's birthday trip where his dad took us to New Jersey to go to Six Flags. Great
Yeah.
Adventure, I think. And then, yeah, so we would go there and we would spend the night in a hotel or something. And then the next day we would spend all day in the park.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I went to the hotel, and we slept that night. I brought Bingo with me because I was 6 or 7 years old still, and so we packed up. We went to the hotel, and then at the end of when we woke up the next morning, we repacked everything. We put it in the car, and then we drove to Six Flags, and we spent all day there. And then that night, we went home, and then when I unpacked when I got home, Bingo wasn't in my suitcase. I lost her. I left her at the hotel, and it was all the way in New Jersey. And I don't know if I tried to call or not. I'm sure my parents did, but they weren't able to locate it. And so somewhere between there and here, I lost her, and I was 6 or 7 years old, and that was up until that point. That was the most traumatic experience of my life, and you know, looking back on it, that's almost nothing. But the fact that I did that and I was able to deal with those emotions and that loss, um, was really something that helped me, achieve a maturity at that age that, not all kids are able to reach by that point.
So, so you said that you grew up on Discord last year. You said that you grew up
Hmm.
with Jesus. I think that's what you said. You
I
he, he can you elaborate a bit more like what your childhood was like?
Yeah, so religiously, my childhood was very sort of not very. It was kind of agnostic. We were culturally Christian, as they say. We celebrated Christmas. I believed in Santa
Yeah.
Claus and stuff. My mom would actually sing at a church that we attended. And I went there like a few times, maybe to like, first of all, to like see her sing, but then other times I went there and I remember being on the playground with other kids, and so maybe there was like a small sort of Sunday school thing that I did for a few, maybe a month or so. I don't
But I
really
mean
remember.
things.
But
But I
other
mean
than
things like.
that, other
But I
than
mean
that,
like
not
things.
much.
I mean things how your sister and her boyfriend are a trans couple. Your parents aren't really anti-LGBT stuff like that.
No, yeah, no, I never really got to that point. I never had like a Bible study thing. I actually had a friend who was his parents did bring him up a lot more religiously. Like he actually introduced me to Veggie Tales, which was pretty cool. I liked Veggie Tales.
I love I love religious propaganda clumsily disguised as children's entertainment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I feel like it was children's education or children's entertainment first, religious propaganda second, which is why I think that it was loved by so many people. It taught good lessons. I remember the Wall of Jericho was like a specific story, but it would also, they would teach, morals and stuff like that, like stuff that you'd want to teach to your kids. But the reason that it was so beloved and great, even in some more secular communities, was because it was just a good child's entertainment show, first, and then second, it was religious, propaganda, because they would always have that, song at the end, and then they
Yeah.
would be like, what did we
Speaking
learn today?
yeah,
Love
speaking
the
of which,
Lord. Mm,
speaking of which, because I know that your sister and her boyfriend are a trans couple. Well,
mm-hmm.
relating an anecdote that happened, and I believe I
Actually,
mentioned it.
my sister, we don't, her relationship with that person split up. She's in a new relationship now, but as you were saying.
So my boss,
Mm-hmm.
okay, her granddaughter and her
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend are a trans couple, and
Mm.
my boss told me, well, my ex boss, I just go there because, well, I worked at, okay, so after high school, I worked at a pizza place. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I would go there to get pizza, even though I don't work there anymore. Anyways,
Mm.
my boss, my former
Yeah,
boss
sometimes the
there,
pizza's fucking good, man. You keep going, even
well,
if you don't work there
anyways,
anymore.
my former boss mentioned that she doesn't consider her granddaughter and her boyfriend to be a real man or woman because they still have a dick and pussy. And I thought
Mm.
to myself, if they got the surgery, would that even make a difference?
To
Like there are
you?
certain things people say, like there are certain things people
Mm-hmm.
say in regards to that. Like
It's moving the
you,
goalpost. Yeah, they
yeah,
always, as soon as that happens, then it's like, well, they can't have children. They're not a real, this or that. No,
this,
they are women.
I mean, never mind testicular. I mean, never
Hmm.
mind castrations and uh, hysterectomies do exist.
Yeah, literally, and of course, all the religiously inclined genital mutilations, both male and
Yeah.
female. Obviously,
Or
of
the people,
course,
or
much
the
worse
people
for
who,
female.
or the people who are against things like that on religious grounds.
Yeah, exactly. It's stupid. I think genital
See,
mutilation
that's another
is
thing that
such a.
irritates me as well is
Hmm.
the whole LGBT Christian community that's becoming a thing that really bothers me.
Hmm.
And when I listen to the rationalizations, my belief is that,
Hmm.
especially when I hear people interpret scripture, like religious liberals interpret scripture, especially the ones that aren't pleasant or call them out on their BS in a
Hmm.
way that makes it sound like ad hoc, basically. I
Pretty
feel like
much, yeah.
my view is, well, you can call a turd, I mean, you can call a piece of shit a chocolate bar, but it's still a piece of shit.
Hmm.
Well, you can make this verse say whatever it wants, but that doesn't mean that it will change what it literally says.
Yeah, uh, yeah, language. Sometimes you can literally say the same thing, and it can mean like literally the same exact words, and it can mean two totally different things. Like you could be like, well, things could be worse, and that's true. But they could also be better, which means that things could be worse, in that this turd is just a turd, but I have a polished turd, so it could be worse if I didn't have that. But that doesn't
Well,
mean that I could also have things way better and not have this polished turd at all in my hand
yeah.
and have an actual
Well,
decent piece of something.
my belief is there are certain things that this may not make
Hmm.
sense, but what I like to call silver turds. They may not look like shit, but they smell like it. If you get
Oh,
the analogy,
yeah. Wait, could you explain that a little more? I think I get it, but I'm not sure.
there are certain things where basically they um they don't seem shitty on the surface, but
Hmm.
they basically still are. Is what I mean.
Yeah. If it looks like a
Or
duck
rather,
and it walks like a duck.
or rather, sometimes it has good and bad qualities, but that its good qualities outweigh the bad qualities. And like, okay, like the best way I can explain that to you is there's a game called for the Nintendo Entertainment System called A Boy and His Blob. Okay, and
Hmm.
it's tremendously flawed, but the creativity and originality of the game shines through. And
Yeah.
that game is that game is what I call a silver turd. It may
Mm.
not look like it, but it smells like it. That's what I'm kind of
Hmm.
that there are certain things that are tremendously flawed, but that it's the
On the
good
surface,
the
it looks good.
yeah, well, but that its minuscule good things shine through.
Mm. That might be, yeah, I guess that could be a silver turd, or maybe like a diamond inside, like covered in turd. Like if you crush away all the crap and shit out of the way, then you can maybe find a tiny little uh something of value, a little corn, a piece of corn that's made of gold or something.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, see, another thing as well that even though it's way
Instead
off
of a
topic,
needle
but
in a
this makes
haystack, the corn in the shit stack.
yeah. Well, see, this made me think about something, even though this is way off topic and it's not
Golden
but
corn.
okay, so the guy who founded the ANP, the American Nazi Party, G.L. Rockwell, George Lincoln Rockwell. Well, he initially was ally before he got assassinated. He allied with the Black Separatist movement, and I've been reading about the Black Separatist movement, and especially Nation of Islam. And to me,
Hmm.
it seems like the reverse side of the same coin. That to me is
Yeah.
still a problem.
Yeah, that's weird.
Same with Eurocentrism. As much as Americans get bashed for having American exceptionalism, I feel like
Hmm.
Eurocentrism is its cousin that I mean, is its twin brother that gets ignored.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's stupid. Uh, yo, I'm high as fuck right now. I need to fucking take some CBD.
I have some CBD right here, honestly.
Oh, nice. So what are your interests spiritually? Because I'm pretty spiritual myself.
I'm not I'm not spiritual, and I believe all of it is all. Well, I don't separate
mm,
spirituality from religion, mainly
I
because
do, I do.
well, see, my belief is a lot of spiritual concepts originated from religion in some way. So I don't separate them because I see it as basically stemming from
Hmm. I think actually
it.
most religions come
Like for
from
example, like
what
for
happened.
example, a lot of staples of
Hmm.
spiritualism, ghost, psychic, etc.,
Mm,
stem from religion in some way. So my
hmm.
belief is it's all woo.
Yeah, you can see now. So what I did is I agree. Almost like 90% of it is woo woo,
I
but
also believe as
most of it,
I
some
also
of
believe
it
as
is based on history. Some of it has a lot
I
of actually evidence that some things happened that they're talking about.
I
Uh,
also believe I also
mhm.
believe as an anarchist that if I'm gonna I don't want to be ruled by a god as well as the state.
Yeah, no, that was why the church and the aristocracy had a big deal back during the Holy Roman Empire ages before World War One and shit.
Although to be honest, a lot of the modern atheism movement I become disillusioned with as well
Okay.
because I see it a lot of times as too soft on
Hey,
religion.
I have a chat
And I
person here. Sorry to interrupt. Do you know anyone named Darius Stone from Twitch?
no.
He has a question for you. You don't
Okay.
feel free to not answer it if you don't want to, but he's literally just saying, what do you think half of 99 is? It's such a random question. I was like, why do you even want to ask that? But he's like, no time to explain. You feel free to just say no, I don't care, or you could just say what you think it is, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Honestly don't
I would guess because 45 is half of 90, so 46 would be 92. 47 would be 94.
yeah.
49.5, Darius says. So 49.5 times 2 is 99. I knew it couldn't have been like a round number because the not like four like
God, 99%, 99 made me think of that whole
mhm.
Occupy Wall Street thing.
I know that's what I
99.
thought too, the 99% and shit when he said that. But
Well, see,
yeah,
Occupy Wall Street was good at premise, but it became too libby.
the problem was Occupy Wall Street. Yeah, they were too. Yeah, they didn't understand theory at all, but they just knew that
Well,
something was wrong.
well,
Yeah,
the problem is, in that entire year, all they did was destroy a park.
yeah, 49.5. I was because 49 plus 49 would only be 98, so it would have to be
Like,
49.5.
if you really want to disrupt the economy, what you need to do is get a bunch of fellow anarchists and go to the bank at 8 a.m. when only like two lines are open and
Mm-hmm.
clog up the bank that day with paperwork and everything, slowing down business.
Mm. Yeah, like what's the point in doing that?
You mean the park thing or the other thing I said?
Say that again, sir. I was typing something in chat.
I said that if you really want to do something on Occupy Wall Street scale, but actually, do something, what you
Mm-hmm.
need to do is get a bunch of fellow anarchists and go to the
Yep.
bank at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
when only two lines are open, two desks, and clog up the
Mm-hmm.
bank with paperwork and everything, slowing
Yeah,
down business.
literally. Yeah, just get them fucking all confused and backed up.
It's the same thing as well. speaking of Occupy Wall Street and how Libby it was, with a lot of charity
Mm-hmm.
things like charity walks to raise awareness for cerebral palsy.
Uh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like I said this earlier today to my grandfather. How often do these movements of it fundraisers bring awareness to the actual issue? Like today,
Yeah.
for example, there was a woman, and I use that loosely because I don't believe she existed in the town where my school is, who
Mm-hmm.
was supposedly had breast cancer. So we paid $5 to the school because we typically wear uniforms because of our class because my class is
Mm-hmm.
a medical related field, so we wear scrubs. So we paid
Mm.
$5 today to be able to wear pink. And I'm more so just thinking, how much do things like this bring awareness to the issue? Half the time, especially if they give something to people donate to just get whatever they're giving to donors.
Yeah, and donations are often what is it? Written off on tax rebates. You can
Yeah,
just you can just uh
yeah.
yeah, so charity is actually just another bourgeois like it's bourgeois
It is.
version of mutual aid. Mutual aid is the anarchist version of charity. It's working
It
together.
is because I've noticed how a lot of these people who do charity and liberal social activism, etc., don't seem to have a high opinion of the groups they're fighting for, supposedly.
Mhm. Yo, something completely random. Do you mind if I go on a tangent? Um,
Okay.
AIs. How the best AIs that work are called GANs, which are.
Oh,
Do you know anything about AI? Artificial intelligence.
I just know that it's computers in that movie AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Darius Stone, to answer your question, we're both for the hospital going free. Uh, this guy bought and our commenter bought an AI NFT. Uh,
Uh,
they're making Biggie do raps even though he's dead. Yeah, dude, AI is crazy. AI, dude, I think artificial intelligence AI is literally like the next version of fire. Like I swear to God, I think that like humanity's ages are like is split based on their technology, and I think like the biggest splits in technology were the wheel, and I don't know which came first, but it was the invention of the wheel and then the discovery of fire and how to master it, and then AI. I think all artificial intelligence is literally on the same level as the discovery of the wheel and the discovery of fire. I think that
I have,
is like
yes,
like a BCAD moment. Yeah, sorry to keep going.
I have a question for you, Smiley. Since you did,
Mm-hmm.
I think you said you were a rapper. What are your
I do
thoughts
like to
on
make
like?
music. Yeah.
So I don't know how to address this, but well, in a form of a question, but I'm gonna flat say this. What are your thoughts on
Mm-hmm.
anarchists as an anarchist? How most rap is sex, drugs, and killing.
Um, see, I don't listen to all sorts of rap. There's new kinds of rap. What I listen to is rap, RAP. I listen to rhythm and poetry, rap. I listen to music that is lyrically and
I honestly did not know rap was even
incredibly
an
well done.
acronym.
Yeah, it is, and it's not always an acronym, but the rap music I listen to it is. But then there's hip hop, there's trip hop, then there's like
I always
like
considered it
SoundCloud
kind
rap,
of.
and there's
I
all
was
kinds of stuff,
I was
Bandcamp
part of the
stuff.
school.
Sorry to keep
I was
interrupting. Go
part.
ahead.
I was part of the school that considered hip hop and rap to be synonymous.
Um, gangster rap and hip hop are generally synonymous. Gangster rap is his own other kind of genre
Plus,
in the
yeah, I
lyrical
I
business.
I do like some gangster rap, but
Mm-hmm.
I like it in the sense of, hear me out on this. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really support that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it is chaos. And as an anarchist, I like
You know what?
chaos and disrupt.
I agree with that too. Yeah, there's a lot of punk. I'm a punk rapper. I would absolutely be a punk rap artist. That's what I would do. I
Well,
make a punk rap.
the type of rap I
Anarchist
like,
punk. Yeah.
yeah, the type of rap I like is stuff like,
Mhm.
and this may not interest you, but stuff like Wu Tang Clan, NWA. Insane Clown Posse, stuff like that.
Hmm. That's what you like to listen to, and that's the
Um,
music you like to make.
no, that's just
Okay.
what I like.
Okay. Cool. I was gonna say, in terms of gangster
I
rap,
do rap. I
uh,
do rap though.
yeah, I mean, all
Yeah.
lyrics is a form of rapping. I mean, rap is
What's it
the art of
interestingly
lyricism. It's poetry
when I
to
was
a beat.
rapping? What's it
Hmm.
when I was rapping in high school? Someone
Hmm.
described my rapping as talking really fast, and I'm like, that's what rapping generally is. That's what I observe.
Yeah, but with rhymes and to a beat.
Yeah,
This isn't rapping. I'm just talking really fast. But yeah, it becomes a rap if I try to make it a trap and I keep it going and I hit hat and adapt. You know, if I add a little bit of rhymes to it, then and rhythm, then it becomes a rap. That was just a crazy off the dome freestyle that I just wanted to demonstrate by saying a bunch of words that rhymed, even if they didn't
yeah.
make sense.
Or just like for example, I feel haunted, evil, controlled, possessed, and everything I'm doing is illegal. I know. You can blame it on my alter ego.
Yeah, if not all rap has to rhyme too every single time, but yeah, it is an important as it's poetry, but not all poetry rhymes either. Haikus don't need to rhyme, and other
Yeah.
things like that.
I don't
But
really I don't really rap, I sing, but the type of
mhm.
music I do
Oh
want to
man, I'm
make
drinking a
is
monster. Oh, I shouldn't be doing that.
initially I was set on making death and thrash metal,
Hmm.
but because I can't I used to be able to do the growl or whatever, but I fucked up my
Hmm.
my vocal cords have never been the best, and there's a reason why I sound the way I do.
Hmm.
Even now when I'm talking.
Have you heard of like metal like dark rap? Hold on,
Um,
it's here. I'll show you this dude name. His name is Lil Darky, uh, but
I'm
he's
not
actually
what I'm saying.
he's I don't know how much of this I can show, but this is the kind of rap that I think that you might be interested in.
The reason why I sound the way I do is because when I was a kid, a lot of the abuse I went through, it was at a time when my voice cords were developing, and I did a lot of screaming with my dad. So my vocal
Can
cords
you
are
hear that?
shot for the most part.
Could you hear that music that I was playing?
No, no, but if you link it to me, I can listen to it later.
Okay, that'd be good. I played it on the stream for a little bit. I can't. I don't think I can play it on the stream for too long though, because I do not want to get copyright strike. However, I don't think Lil Darky has that big of a deal. I don't know if he has a label or anything, so I don't think he cares that much. I'm gonna send
No,
it to you there, and I suggest you listen to it on your own while we're talking, to a low, obviously at a lower level, so you can tell me, and just tell me what you think about it. Because I want to
okay.
know. I'm interested in your opinion because like you said, you like metal and stuff like that. I think this is like the metal version of rap, or this is
Well,
one
see,
of them.
I don't know how to do that, so I'd have to listen to it and just message you what I
Okay,
think of it.
what happens if you play it right now though?
Let's find out because
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here, just give it a second and let me know what you think. Oh, I moved this thing over on the screen. I didn't want to do that. Although honestly, that might actually be a better comment thing. Because it looks like you can read that a lot better than you can read the one here. So what if I just get
This
rid of this?
I listened to 20 seconds of it. That sounded good.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. I think that's kind of the metal version of hip hop. I
Yeah.
just want this thing over here. No, I don't want that. Hold on. My chat was kind of small.
Uh,
I don't know how to get. Hold on. If I can do
you shouldn't be able to
this.
get that YouTube thing again from your
Oh, can I
end.
pop this out? Ah, perfect. All right. So if I move
Let me
this
go back
over
to
here.
that.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh my
Um,
God, that's such a way
I,
better chat window. Can you read that? Are you seeing Are you watching the stream right now?
me?
Yeah.
No. There is the chat, but it only shows me. I'm on my phone right now, so
Okay. No worries. I
because see,
was just asking.
my internet works
Unfortunately, it
and
leaves all this space above me that I can't use. I'll figure it out.
whatever. So my internet sucks because
Hmm.
my grandfather, uh, basically he doesn't really need fast internet, so fuck everyone else in the house.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, see, this is the reason that everybody needs to get their own place at like 18 to 21. Like,
Well, some people can easily do that though.
yeah, but all people. My point is that everybody should have that. I don't care how many. I don't care if some people can. That doesn't mean anything to me. I want everybody to be able to do that because honestly, I'm 27 years old. I should be
I
living
get,
out of my parents' house by now.
no, I get that, but when you've
Hmm.
only worked at a pizza place since graduating high school,
Because that's the
and
only
are
job that will hire you. Yeah, like it's
and
crazy. Go on though, please. I'm looking for something. I think.
and basically, I'm just now going back to school because see, I initially didn't want to pursue higher education because my view is this, and I hope this is understandable.
Hmm.
I had a miserable experience in high school, and that was free. I didn't want to pay money to recreate that experience.
Mm, yeah, I feel you. Um, but the thing is,
So, so I'm just curious because I noticed you lighting up something. That's CBD, right?
yes, that's CBD. Also,
Oh, okay. I was just
but that's
yeah.
because THC is legal in my state, and I also use it medicinally. But
No, I'm
too
just
much.
curious if that. I was just curious if that was weed you were lighting up.
Well, I know I was lighting up on this thing. Are you watching right now? Because I have a
Yes.
pipe. Yeah, this thing actually I was smoking tobacco out of. But
Oh no,
this I
I was just
smoked the
curious if
weed
that
out
was
of.
crack.
Yeah. It wasn't crack, no. And would you want to hang up if I was smoking crack? I'm not.
No, no, it wasn't. It just made me think of how for a while in 2020
Hmm.
you had gone absent, and then you told me you were gone because you
Yeah.
were in a rehab
Here, yeah,
because of crack.
let's not go too much into personal details of things that we discuss off it. But you're absolutely right. Yes, no, I don't. I wouldn't smoke crack on stream
No,
because
I wasn't
I don't
trying
smoke
to.
crack.
I until that guy,
Hmm.
Daryl, men- you mentioned. I didn't realize this was a live stream.
Oh, did
I
I
really
not?
have not.
I told okay. I thought I made that clear in the Discord over the last few days that it is my podcast is a live stream. Is that okay with you? Because we can hang up right
No,
now if that's not okay with
no,
you.
no. It is okay.
Okay. I thought that I made that clear and that was consented. I'm sorry if it wasn't.
it was
Okay,
no,
good.
it was, but keep
Hmm.
in mind, I I take medication and also
Hmm.
do weed and also have ADHD.
Me
So
too. Yeah.
my mind remembers things and it doesn't.
Yeah. No, the important thing is yes, we are live streaming. That is something that I should have made more clear when I said it because while luckily though I don't get really any watchers at all. That comment
No,
person was like the first
I got
comment
that it
person
was
I've ever
I
got
got that
pretty
it was
much.
I got that it was a YouTube video. I just
Hmm.
didn't get it was a live stream.
It's on Twitch too, by the way, if that's all right.
No, no, it's fine.
Okay.
I don't get
Sorry.
I,
I
I
should
don't
have.
get to the whole live stream thing.
You're
It's
not.
not that it's not that I have anything against it. No, don't
Mhm.
misunderstand me. It's just generally I'm a private person.
Yes. So yeah, and which is why which is why I am trying my best to emphasize we do not want to dox ourselves. We want to
No,
yeah. So we don't want to, we don't want to give out any information that is unwanted.
no,
You by the way,
I don't think
mm,
I don't think I did.
I don't think you did yet either. I think we're all good. We steered clear pretty well. But yes, we are live. If you would prefer in the future, we could do it offline. And my rule is just talk the way you can. We are live. I want to make that clear, absolutely clear for everybody. But we can, and then we get a VOD, and then you can edit out anything that you don't like in the VOD that you thought was too much. I
No,
let
I
you listen to it,
no,
and
I
then you
don't
can do
have
that.
I don't have anything that
Good.
I just was explaining that unless someone invites me, I generally don't do live streams or whatever. Is what I mean.
Okay. Well, I invited you, so here we are.
No, I don't. No, you did invite me. I just meant that it's one of those things where unless invited, I don't go out and seek it.
I don't blame you. Yeah. No, I'm the same almost.
That's why, as well, when I went to a restaurant yesterday, because it's one of those restaurants where when you tell them it's your birthday, they sing you the happy birthday song. That's why at restaurants, I don't tell them it's my birthday. Even if I do, it is my birthday. Because
Mm-hmm.
in the past, I was tempted to lie and say it was when it wasn't to get free cake. But then I remembered, oh, yeah, they do the birthday song.
Mm.
I don't like the birthday song when the restaurants do that because it draws attention to themselves.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I could totally understand not wanting a lot of attention and being very antisocial. That's totally a normal and valid.
Interestingly, the guy who created the polio vaccine, Jonas Salk, that
Mm-hmm.
was one of his biggest regrets about doing it. He was glad he
Mm-hmm.
did it and everything, but he actually did not like all the fame it brought. His view was, why am I getting so much fame? I'm just doing my job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It's. Mm-hmm.
interestingly, one of the
And
first TV interviews he did,
mm-hmm.
I think the guy was Ed Morrow. I think that was his name. Well, anyways, the guy told him that he lost his one of the worst things that happened to him was he lost his anonymity because everyone knew who he was because he was a hero of sorts.
Mm. For some reason, I
And
can't get. Uh.
and that's kind of the things that's kind of one of the things I struggle with upon wanting to be a musician, especially a fairly famous one, having to perform on stage. I mean, yeah, it's something I know I have to do. It's just mentally preparing is something I kind of procrastinate.
Ah. Yeah, I'm with you there too. I'm not interested in getting married anytime soon. I don't think there's any
I said
incentive for me to
musician.
do so. To be a musician? Oh, okay. Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to get something interesting on the screen. Um, but why don't you? Could you? I'm sorry. So would you repeat that? Why aren't you interested in being a musician?
I said I do want to be a musician. It's just because I'd have to perform live. I don't seriously pursue it. I mean, I do want to
Ah,
be,
but
I mean, I do want to be. It's just because I have to mentally prepare myself to do so. I don't rush it.
mm, what?
That and because I that and because I want to be skilled in a skilled musician. The music I want to play a couple instruments,
Mm,
several. Well, I don't want to be a multi instrumentalist, but there are
why
three
not?
types of instruments I want to learn. Well, well, my belief is
The more the
that
merrier, I say.
my belief is I want to be a virtuoso. If you
Don't we all?
dedicate, or,
Master of life.
or if you ded,
Do
well,
the
if you
best we
did,
can.
say you dedicate so much time learning keyboard and then guitar, there's no time to become a virtuoso because you have to dedicate so much time to learning so much of it and then so much of it.
Mm, I can see that.
But in all seriousness, though, I do want to learn to play three types of instruments: bass guitar, keyboards, and
Mm-hmm.
harmonica.
Uh, that's those are some good those are some good instruments. I like the harmonica too. I like the harmonica especially because it's easy to sound like you're good at it at first. Though obviously somebody who is skilled with the harmonica can will be much better. But like I like that you can, at least for me anyway, I can pick up a harmonica and I can kind of just make it still sound good if I just go like you just make like a little beat. It's fun.
My singing voice, though, interestingly, it's not the well. I wouldn't say it's awful, but basically, you pretty much get reminded of Bob Dylan when hearing my singing voice.
Is that wait? That sounds like a good thing, though, isn't it? Bob
I'll
Dylan's
give you a
pretty
little.
good.
I'll give you a little sample of a piece I wrote here,
Mm.
and you can then tell me if you actually think I sound good.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I
This
was
is
at my.
remember this is live, but no one's really watching besides us, though.
Oh no, I'm. Oh no, I'm not giving my name. I was just
No,
singing
I know.
something
I'm
I
just
wrote.
letting you know. Yeah. So show me. I'm looking forward to it.
I was not myself last night, and the morning light I can see the change was showing. Out of place as a crying clown, and the and I went down as the play went on for hours.
Hmm. Not bad. I wish the microphone was better though, because when you watch the video again, if you want, it's gonna come out, and unfortunately your mic is gonna make it. It's gonna make it not
Oh, the
sound as
reason
good.
why it sounds bad is I'm using my headphones. I don't have an actual mic. I'm using the
Ah,
built-in mic on my headphones, which
that
are
makes
Bluetooth.
sense. Yeah, see, you deserve to have good quality headphones and a nice microphone because we're having a conversation.
I do,
Yeah.
I do. But here's the thing: when I
Mhm.
bought these headphones, I
Mhm.
basically made a shitty decision when buying them.
Oh no, what was that?
I just bought them from a brand I probably should have done more research on.
Oh, you just went in there and grabbed the first ones you saw, basically.
Oh no, I ordered them offline. I guess I just probably should have looked more into the brand.
Hmm.
It's from a brand called Cohen,
Cohen.
Cowin.
Hmm. Cohen.
And to be honest, and to be honest, considering that what alarmed me to a point was, I do hope you understand why this alarmed me. The
Mhm.
website wasn't Amazon, yet when I received the headphones, they were in a box from Amazon.
Huh. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
strange.
yeah. See, that's another thing about capitalism that I notice. People frame, like, for example, Jeff Bezos, how he started Amazon. Like, let me put it to you this way: people take Jeff Bezos as, like, portraying him as the guy who started out from nothing and is now a CEO. That kind of story. You get the type of story I mean, right?
Yeah.
The narrative I'm trying to portray that people think as, like, they think Jeff basically they think Jeff Bezos is someone you should aspire to be, and that his story should serve as an inspiration to all.
Uh, who again? Jeff Bezos? Yeah, no, that's the myth of
Yeah,
the good billionaire or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there we
not
go. That's a good fucking nice view. How do
yeah.
you like that? Are you looking at the stream right now?
Yes.
Doesn't that look so much better than it was before with all that wasted space? I
Use DuckDuckGo. I use Google, admittedly.
hey, that's it's up to I use DuckDuckGo because it doesn't take your data and try to advertise to you.
Oh, I hear that.
Mhm.
My grandfather says that, but because he's a conservative, I just
Mhm.
presumed it's one of those things that they think. But you know,
No, it's actually true. DuckDuckGo is a force for good in this
uh,
crazy world. DuckDuckGo, at least for now, as far as I can tell, is a force for good, as
oh,
we all aspire to be.
oh,
I need to get a
it's like
border though. You don't buy. I mean, you're not a big online person, but by any chance, you don't know how to make like a border in OBS around here. If
no,
any, yeah, I'll look up that later. But dude, oh my God, this is the layout that I've been looking for so freaking long. This is uh, so much better than it's been in a very long time.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, dude, this is a fun conversation. How long have we been like talking for?
I don't know.
Let's see.
It's a Friday for me, and I ain't got to go to work tomorrow. So
I
if you don't
know,
have any
me
limits, this
neither.
can go
Yeah,
on however you want.
I'm literally down. Oh, we've been doing this for 2.5 hours. Yeah, dude, I'm down to do this as long as we're both up for it. Until my mom comes home and she's like, "Yo, shut the fuck up! You're being too loud." I'll be like, "Okay, mommy, I'm sorry."
You live with your mom.
Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't we have fucking apartments for anybody who's 18 and 21 that are decent and you can move out of your family's home? Like,
Yeah,
you're not supposed
people,
to be living. Like, I have a good job and I live at my parents' home at 27 like years old.
well,
This
people
is capitalism. This is the economy that they want
basically,
so bad.
basically right now, the idea of ever owning a house, you can forget that.
Uh-huh. It's crazy. And honestly, I don't even care about owning a house. I don't give a fuck.
Well,
I want
here's the thing that I don't understand.
mhm.
I get that what happened in 2008 was fucked up the housing market, but what I frequently hear is Wall Street crash. And then I'm trying to correlate with how does that relate to the housing market?
Yeah, like what does that even mean? I think I
One movie that I do recommend, and this gives great insight into what happened in 2000. Well, okay, basically, it doesn't take place in 2008, but it does set up why 2008 happened. And it's called The Big Short. I heavily
Mm-hmm.
recommend that.
Have you heard of Fixing Capitalism? It's on Netflix. I just completely blew right past it for the first like month and a half that I
I
saw.
get it, but I get it. But have you heard of The Wolf of Wall Street? That
Oh
movie?
yeah, I love that movie. It's such a fucking bad like it's such a it's just like it's literally an ad, it's propaganda for capitalism is what it is. It's
Well, see,
literally just
what's interesting is
it's
they
the
try and
dream.
portray Jordan Belfort as like Robin Hood, where he only
Mm.
went after rich people, and that's supposed to be a good thing. And that, like, you know what I mean, though,
No,
right?
I don't even believe that's true because he was getting off of penny stocks. Like that was how he
Well,
started.
see, here's the bizarre thing: how is
Yeah.
he still allowed to give advice, and why are people listening to him?
Because of capitalism, dude. He's out of jail because he bought himself, the best jail experience, the best fucking time. He got out and now he's a public speaker and people pay to come see his talks.
He was playing tennis in prison.
Dude, literally Jake Paul does the same thing or he's done the same thing. He's tried to do the same thing like 3 or 4 times now. He fucking
Like,
every like year or two he comes out with this new like, guess what?
he
Jake
playing
Paulers.
tennis in prison.
Hmm?
Oh no, I said that I pointed
I
out
got
how in the
steps
movie,
for you. How to become famous. Yeah, the
I
movie
pointed out
you're talking about?
no, see, I pointed out how in the movie the prison Jordan Belfort went to was
Hmm.
depicted as like he was playing prison, I mean
Playing
tennis in
tennis.
prison.
Yeah, he probably was. I'm not even. I mean, that obviously the movie played it up, but he was one of the richest people fucking during that time. That was what Reagan wanted. That was like back in the days when the stock market just got completely dead. There were no taxes on the rich. You could make as much money as you possibly could, so
Well,
you just do that.
ever noticed how Reagan was once a Democrat, and then when Republicanism became popular, he switched?
Yeah, same thing with Donald Trump. He's flip flop between he was a Democrat or Republican to Democrat again. I think he actually outside of the before 2020, I
Well,
think he was more
people
Democrat.
forget that he ran. Oh, he once ran in 2000 for president, Donald Trump, as an independent.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that. People
Yeah,
forget that his 2016 campaign wasn't even his first.
yeah, dude. First, we have I don't know which came first in this case, but first we have Idiocracy, the movie, where they have the professional wrestler
That
as
guy,
president.
the guy
Yeah.
who made that movie made King of the Hill and Office Space. By the way,
Uh,
Office Space is another good movie.
Yes, it is. By the way, that just reminded me. Talking about rap music and professional wrestling. You know how you were talking about how the issues that you had with most like gangster rap music, and to be fair, a lot of it does have a lot of homophobic, like and misogynistic problems to it. It's very a lot of it is pretty indefensible. But essentially, what that was the pro wrestling of rap music. Like it's fake. Like they're just it's called kayfabe. It's where like everybody knows now that wrestling is fake, but when it first came out, people wanted to believe it was real because they were invested in these stories. And so what rappers would do is they would talk about all their time as like the drug dealer and all the money that they have and all the women that they have and everybody that all the parties that they do and the fucking having like 18
Yeah,
cars and like popping champagne on them and everything like that. Like that's all just fake kayfabe. They're going into character. What's interesting though is that I learned recently from a video by what was his name
what's
again?
interesting?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that the guy who made like all Mike Judge is his name. What's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is that you frequently get the impression that his opinions are kind of like social wise and everything, someone you wouldn't really like, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, someone you can get behind as well amazingly.
Yeah, yeah. There's this yeah, I agree. There's this video I just watched on Kanye by
Like to me, that's to me
TFD
that's one of the great
Signifier.
things about King of the Hill. How even
Mm-hmm.
though Hank wasn't really the best, his opinions, if you pay close attention, weren't necessarily portrayed as right, but they were at least portrayed as
Mm-hmm.
sensible to everyone else, the voice of reason.
Yeah. I was watching this video by this guy, FD Signifier, about the history of Kanye West.
Understand the
Sorry, I didn't mean to play, but basically he
these
apparently
rappers play
no.
these characters to
So he basically Kanye basically up until Kanye came out, that was what like all rap was. It started with gangster rap and then mainstream hip hop and everything, which is what came from gangster rap. Was which is where rhythm and poetry came from. That's where they came up with the word rap. But so hip hop came out, and hip hop was just a bunch. It was basically the pro wrestling of hip hop. And but what happened was Kanye West came around, and he was actually the first sort of hip hop guy. He started out making beats, like soul beats. He was using like old samples from like old like the golden oldies that like the black community listened to, like like Aretha Franklin and like all those kind of people. Nat King, like all the classics that they would have.
I thought you were going to say he was the first to take rock and rap and combine them. Oh, no, the Beastie Boys did that.
That was the Beast. Well, the Beastie Boys and Linkin Park. Linkin Park did that too. And Styles of Beyond, dude, they did a lot of the rock rap. Oh my god, dude, the rock rap thing was actually a pretty good. It was a pretty good moment in time.
And Rage Against the Machine, although
oh
they were
yeah,
rap now.
Dude, that's punk rap. Yeah, conscious rap and punk rap. That's because punk originally started as leftist, anti-fascist, like pro-socialist music. Punk was just like fuck all the government because they were all anarchists. They were anarchist music, so they wanted to fucking get rid of the fucking state. They wanted to get rid of capitalism, and they wanted to fucking live and be free.
See the problem. The problem was punk has been co-opted. It's not really about the social behind it.
Dude, punk was co-opted from the start, dude. Sex Pistols, we're not punk. Johnny Rotten, dude, is a Trump supporter, dude. He is the opposite of what punk is.
Johnny Rotten really is rotten.
It really is who?
Rotten.
Rotten, yeah, literally. He is just a name. Dude, he was one of the guys. He's a punk, dude. A anti like skinhead like fucking like Antifa, all that shit. He came up to an interview, and I don't know if it was him, but one of his dudes literally had a Nazi armband. Now, like, punk means like fuck the establishment, but punk means fuck Nazis, dude. Fuck fascism. That's what punk is, dude.
Well, see,
no skinhead punks, no Nazi punks.
Anarchy in the UK wasn't even about that. Johnny Rotten himself said the name just sounded cool. Anarchy.
Literally, yeah. He just wanted to make money and piss everybody off, dude. He was just being a fucking asshole, dude. Johnny Rotten was rotten to the core, dude. That's the way it was. But you know who wasn't, though? Chumbawamba. Oh my god, there's this great video by this dude.
Iggy Pop and MC5 were pretty cool.
Chill Goblin. Hold on. I'll show you this. I'll send it to... Oh my god. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna send you, if I can.
And the Ramones were pretty cool.
Yeah, let me send you this video because you might like it.
Well, see, the thing is, though, is that punk actually, well, you say punk was co-opted. It was, but punk didn't even start in the UK. It started with the Ramones.
Yeah, dude, that's what Kropotkin taught us, is all existence, like all humanity comes from the rest of humanity. All inventions belong to the goodwill of humanity. That's the way it is. Whenever something good comes out, it should instantly belong to everybody so that they can take it and turn it into their own thing and bring out the next big thing that can belong to everybody.
If you do want another punk band, but this punk band that gets criminally underrated, look up MC5. Kick out the James.
Yeah, dude, this is a great video by this guy called Chill Goblin. He's a friend of mine. We make videos together. He's cool. I mean, we haven't actually collabed, but we like comment on each other's videos. It's pretty dope. But anyway, so he made this great video about who is more punk, Sex Pistols or Chumbawamba, and he fucking nails it, dude. Chumbawamba is dude. You know who Chumbawamba is?
I've heard of them.
I
actually have listened.
You definitely have heard their song. They were the ones who did the "I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down,
Yeah, I
but
know
I
the
get up again.
song.
Yeah, dude, they were what's classified as like a one-hit wonder because what they were actual punks. Who didn't want to take on the record label. They didn't want to fucking do their own thing, and everybody shat on them. Everybody was trying to change them. But then the Sex
By the
Pistols
way,
came in as an industry plant kind of a thing, as what would be today, and then they made all the
yeah,
money because they sold out because they didn't give a fuck. They were just fucking
by the way,
rotten assholes.
by the way,
Hmm.
by the way, pop punk is generally garbage.
I disagree. I grew up on pop punk, so it has a very special place
See,
in my heart.
that's another thing as well. There
Hmm.
was a video.
This guy's
There's a
great.
guy, the YouTuber. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Hmm.
The punk MBA or punk rock MBA. Well, anyways, he did a video about the whole scene thing back around the 2000s or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, scene
well,
scene girls were my shit. That was when I was in high
okay,
school and yeah.
okay, well, anyways, he said at the
Hmm.
end, one of the things he wrapped up is why did the scene die? And I,
Hmm.
and I, I was like, because we realized it wasn't that great.
Yeah, dude, yeah, well because a lot of it was just like the emo kind of like my parents don't let me drive. Like
My,
I
okay,
I used
before
to
you go
listen
on,
to Sum 41 and Blink 182 and all those people and like yeah.
my thoughts on emo are South Park kind of described it for me. If you
How'd
want
that
to
go?
talk, if you want to talk about real suffering, go to like a third world country, you little pussy.
Mhm. Yeah, dude, no, there's some fucking oh my god. Yeah, like I think Breathe Carolina or
Like,
one of
oh
them,
my
I'm not
god,
sure, but there are some
like, oh my god, my
yeah.
girlfriend broke up with me. I want to kill myself.
Uh
Yada yada yada.
I think the main guy in All Time Low is kind of an asshole, I've heard. Um but
Some forty,
allegedly, I don't know,
well,
but
I guess
yeah.
some 41 was. I guess they kind of were pop punk, but I don't know. But they had
They
some
definitely
actually
were.
good. They
Alternative
had some.
was where it started. It was alt
They had,
rock, and then
they
alt
had some
rock
good.
went into pop punk.
Well, they had some good stuff like Fat Lip, Into Deep.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my god, dude. Oh my and dude, Sum 41 still makes shit, dude. And their newest album was actually like a legit banger. Like I
I
listened to that
didn't know.
shit a
I
lot.
didn't know they released a new one. I
Blink
only
182
listened.
made a new song too, a new album,
I
but
only know.
only one. Hmm?
I only know a few songs by Sum 41, and mainly it's. I think it's My Direction,
Yeah,
the Hell
that one's a
song,
good. Yeah.
and pretty much everything off of All Killer No Filler.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also like what is it? I'll show you in a second, but let's see. Artists.
By
Okay.
the way, the ironic thing is about
Mhm.
the Ramones, even though they're technically the first punk band, is actually socially they weren't even punk. Like a few of them, I know for a fact, were confirmed conservative.
Mhm. Yeah,
Actually,
Walking Disaster was one of my favorites on the Underclass Hero album. Dude, oh my god, music streaming
by
is
who?
the best fucking thing that was ever invented for fucking
Who was that
musician
by?
people. Just the ability to like not have just to be able to stream music and not
Who
have to pay for all the songs and buy them.
who
And
was Underclass Hero by?
that's Sum 41.
Oh yeah.
Sum 41
Then you.
yeah, Sum 41 came out with new albums. Let's see.
By the way, a big clue that the Ramones were not really punk is that their logo alone should have been a big clue.
Let me check that out too. Hold on one. Let's see. Let me show you this and then I'll show you that. Let's see. So yeah, this album I'm pretty sure is fucking like sick as fuck. This one I also believe is pretty good. I'm not sure if it's as good as this one, but I definitely think they were both bangers, dude. Sum 41 is on top still. Yo, they're doing good. Well, what was you said
Uh,
the Ramones, their symbol? Hold on. Yeah, what?
I'm I hold on, I'm googling it now for you.
Okay. Ramones
I just
symbol.
sent it to you.
Okay, it's in Discord.
Yeah,
This
that
one?
should be a big clue about something.
Yeah, it does make them look like they're a bit of a what's
Yeah,
a psyop.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Johnny, I know for a fact, was a confirmed conservative.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty. No, that's the Nazi punks. Yeah. Um,
Oh no, they weren't. Oh, no, they weren't Nazi punks.
no, they're
But
not. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, that's more. I actually haven't listened to much of them,
they
but
were no. Well, they were the.
it
Let
could
me
be
put it to you this.
ironic. But I do think that
Let me
as their logo,
well
that's weird.
let me put it to you this way. Their
Mhm.
music was more about punk as music, and
Mhm.
let me put it to you this way. They were more like the look and the type of music.
Yeah,
The belief.
they were just doing it to get laid, as it were.
No, they were like the type of kids who wore the anarchy symbol because they thought it looked cool, kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, well, most of us start out that way, but that's anarchists have to
But
get
to
in
be,
there so
but
much.
to be fair, though, anarchism
Hmm.
as a tendency
As
to be
a
co-opted.
philosophy, yeah.
Well, no, well, no, by how you have all sorts of ideologies that call itself anarchist, but aren't like
Hmm.
anarcho-fascism,
Yeah,
anarcho-monarchism,
yeah.
anarcho-conservatism, etc.
Anarcho-monarchism is 100% a joke. There might be one or two people who have unironically
I don't
adopted it,
understand
but
what the ideology is supposed to be, what it even means.
it's just yeah, no, it's a joke. I'm like I said, I'm 100% sure it's a troll. There may or may not be have been people who actually take that true, but it's not a real one. But
Well,
also
it's like saying,
anarcho-capitalism is a complete oxymoron too. You can't have that. People
well, by
claim to be that, but no.
Well, by the way, as
It's
well, if you want a religion that is truly for the rich, Scientology is the answer to.
yeah, that's what most. That's why I think it's easy to make religions in the United States because United States is all
Well,
about
see,
capitalizing and everything,
well that, well that,
and
and
their tax shelters.
the the Church of Scientology is the closest thing the West has to a terrorist type. Well, just like the East, a lot of Islamic terrorists. Well, our answer to that, in my opinion, is Scientology, where you have
Mm,
people where they have people who were literally killed and
mm.
also raid government buildings and stuff.
Yeah,
But yet,
you
amazingly,
know,
never got executed.
hmm true punk bands are the ones with like the disgusting names, like Leftover Crack. They're actually a really good punk rock band.
Or another one, it's really disgusting is um, what's not really disgusting one? Um, the mo no, that's not really disgusting.
I don't want to
There's
look at
one.
all these fucking U.S. symbols. They're freaking me out.
Give me a
Who
second.
are the
There's one.
other ones? The fucking who are the ones with the face is their logo that everyone wears too that not everyone listens to?
Base is their logo.
Who? It's like a face. They're another punk band. I can't think of them right now, but let's see. You'll recognize it when you see it. Let's see. Logos. I'm pretty. Yeah, this one right here. It's like a skull. What's the Misfits? Them. How do you know? What do you think
Oh,
of them?
I didn't get into them, but I do
Mm-hmm.
know another band that their frontman Glenn Danzig is with called Danzig. He did
Mm.
a song. Let me link that to you.
Yeah.
Um, hold on.
I'm gonna ask my friend.
This isn't what he did. Well, this is him, but this isn't the Misfits. Um,
Did you send me something?
no, I didn't yet.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking. Let's see. Would the Miss? You see,
Okay, so
yeah. Anybody can buy a
okay,
Misfits shirt, and everyone knows that
okay, so
they're good.
there's this
Yeah.
weird thing that's doing where basically as a YouTube video, it's showing in my player, but like from the streaming side, I'm not being shown. Like for example, that's why when you sent me that video, I had to
Mm-hmm.
re-get into this video
Uh.
because what you're doing, I'm just seeing not like in real time. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
think it's done like an echo.
Oh, okay. Is it still echoing? Right? No.
It's not, but
Okay.
it's not. But what I mean is, like when I say something on your end, it sounds like I'm just watching a video.
Mm. When I play music, right?
No, not
Or
when
when
you're
you play
basic.
something.
It's hard to explain.
Mm. Is it a problem? Can we fix it?
No, it's not. It's not. I think it's because I'm doing it on my phone. Is what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, that makes it much more difficult. I'm on a computer, so I have and I have two
I did.
monitors, so I'm ridiculously
I did.
ready to do this.
Hey, I did send you the link in Discord for the song.
The song, yes, I played a little bit of it. I am obviously since I'm streaming, I don't know how much I can play of it. I will listen to it like off stream, but I unfortunately
Yeah.
YouTube has a very strict.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's very annoying. Uh,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell, we're good. If you just play a little bit of it, it's okay, especially if you're talking over it. The whole point is that free use is that you can, use whatever, but the second
Yeah.
they hear
I get
something,
that.
it's so annoying.
I get. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, especially if the stream has been going on for how long has our stream
Yeah.
been
Well,
going
see,
on for?
well, I don't know, but
Literally
see, the
3
irony is
hours
that
now.
YouTube censorship. Well, see, YouTube initially was an alternative to TV, but now YouTube censorship is worse than TV.
Yeah, it's censorship is worse than TV, but its ad laws are way the fuck less way behind the schedule. The TV ad laws, we can skip ads online, um, but the
And
rules
streaming
for advertising
too.
to children are not anywhere near the same as they are even advertising at all. Like, you literally can't tell the difference between a TikTok. I don't know if you use TikTok, but I've seen some
No, no.
TikToks that are literally just like TikToks from people, and they're just like, "Oh my god, you have to try this product. This is so amazing. I just
TikTok.
went to the
The
store."
things I
And
the
it could
things
be
I've heard the
completely
things I've heard
genuine
on.
or
Sorry.
not. And I'm sorry, I just want to finish this one thing. You see those things, and they could be 100% completely genuine. They are just speaking from the heart, and that is the best form of advertising is word of mouth. They actually like it. Or it could be an ad just designed to look like that, and you cannot tell the difference. Because I still don't think there's a thing, like on YouTube they have it, but I don't think there's a paid, like a warning that says paid content when you go on when you TikTok talk about how great this new like eyeliner is or something like that, or this new food recipe.
The things I hear that TikTok
Thank you
has
for listening.
spawned.
Mm,
Sorry, the things that I hear TikTok has spawned
mm.
really heighten as to why I don't watch it.
Um, you know, I kind of I disagree because I think that it brings everybody it's bringing things to light. It does create echo chambers, but it can create echo chambers of
And the
education.
pedos, don't forget the pedos on there too.
Mm, that's something that I think could be organized very easily under a more socially democratic country. I'm actually going to be
Yeah,
running for office as soon as I possibly can, and getting involved in the best ways that I can to
I honestly, I honestly plan to be a write-in candidate. Like the next presidential election, I plan to be a write-in candidate.
Yeah, why not? It depends on who you're going for. If it's Trump again, though, please, for the love of God, for me, do not vote for him. Please vote, yeah, just whatever, or vote against him if you possibly can.
I didn't vote for him, but the thing is, I heard he's running, and I'm just thinking, does he seriously think he's going to get elected again?
He got the most votes in any president in history, except until Joe Biden, who then
But
got
the thing,
the next, most. He got the most who lost.
Trump got the most votes.
Trump got the most. Here's how it worked. For like 20 minutes, Donald Trump in the 2020 election got the most votes that any candidate in US history had ever gotten. And then that record was immediately then broken by Joe Biden, who beat him. So Biden
Yeah.
actually has the record for the most votes in a US election for a president.
Was there seriously no one else who people would have rather wanted? Was he seriously still that popular in the wake of COVID?
Dude, Trump is just a fascist strongman. Like, he wasn't. I don't know if he knows that he's a
He's
fascist, but.
in capitalism. How capitalism and and Marxism is always depicted as the snake. Well, I
Mhm.
don't believe in Satan, but I truly believe Trump is Satan because of how
Yeah, well,
you
he's
have people.
certainly an incarnation of him. There's several others like Jeffrey Epstein and Dennis
Well, the
Prager.
thing is,
Those are also
well, the thing is that, well,
devil
the thing is though,
incarnate.
the thing is
Hmm.
though, is that amazingly, Trump was not liked. Well, there were people who were harsh critics of Trump,
Mm.
even on the right,
But then
before
they
he got elected.
followed suit when it found out that when it looked like he was the way to go to victory, they immediately changed their minds. They were like, "Oh my
Or
gosh, we can't vote for anyone else. This guy is the guy
hey,
that we need."
I
Even
wasn't
Mike
done.
Pence, dude. Or not Mike Pence. The fucking dude
Or
from
after, or
Texas.
after he got elected, there were some who. It wasn't until he
Ted
got elected.
Cruz. Ted Cruz got fucking shit on by Trump, and then after he was out of the running, he immediately just became a lapdog to Trump and just fucking started kissing his ass.
Yeah. Or how people forget Trump wasn't even supposed to be elected the first time. How he
No,
technically
yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. It's voter fraud. Honestly, all voter fraud is always on the Republican side. There was this
The
amazing story up about a.
electoral college is a
Hmm.
cancer.
Hmm? Say again?
See, see. I was told the idea of the electoral college was to prevent people from, well, states from like California from having a monopoly. But it
Hmm.
seems even with the electoral college, you still have that problem.
No, yeah, the electoral college is completely useless at this point. Even if it ever had a use, I don't think
Well,
the
see,
only
well, see.
use it was because not everybody could have up to date information like second by second updates. So what you had to do,
I was
and there was
taught.
no
I was
phones,
taught
you
in
had to
history
send
class
letters.
that
Hmm.
I was taught in history class the reason why, the specific reason for it was so states like California couldn't have a monopoly. But since the Electoral College is based on state population and everything, that problem
Hmm.
seems kind of still the same regardless.
Uh, yeah. The thing is, though, yeah, no. What the For the People Act, I think it's called, or something like that, is being thrown around in Congress and might eventually pass. Along with the filibuster, we need to completely end the filibuster. Once we end the filibuster, and then we can get I believe, the For the People Act, where the law it doesn't get rid of the electoral college, but it forces the electoral college to vote exactly as the state intended. So it's
Well,
literally
well,
just
see,
personal
well, see,
voting
my
with
thing.
extra steps.
Well, see, my thing is, why wasn't that already a thing? Why does that even need to be a law? That should have been
Power.
set up from.
The founding fathers only cared about the votes of landowning white men because they thought those were, because their idea in their racist mind was that it, only those people would have the education to an intellectual understanding to make the right choices. Um,
See, that's the thing as
mhm.
well. I really feel like people don't talk about enough how the the idea of our Constitution wasn't even supposed to happen. They were just supposed to basically rewrite the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah, yeah,
Honest,
the
honest,
based on the
honestly,
Native Americans.
I'm curious to know what America under the AOC would be like.
The AOC. I think a Bernie AOC fucking presidency would first of all be blocked by
Oh,
everybody on both the Democratic
oh,
and
when I said
Republican
AOC,
side, of course.
I meant an acronym for Articles of Confederation.
Oh, yeah. My one of my my monitors are an Acer monitor, but whenever you boot it up, like you turn it on, you turn it back up, the first thing you see is the letters AOC, and I think that's always funny. It makes me laugh. I'm just like, I guess I have a moderate progressive screen here.
I
um,
always feel
mm,
I always feel like people always say that AOC doesn't know a lot of what she's talking about, and people really like to rag on the
it's
fact
all
she's a
misogyny and just the fact that she's young and hot and fucking
and a
actually
cocktail
succeeded.
and a cocktail waitress before becoming a politician.
Yep.
People say that too.
Unfortunately, the worst part is she's not actually all that versed on theory. She's just kind of a more of a liberal, progressive, Occupy Wall Street kind of a gal. So, I think that if she had more, but that's why I'm running for office and stuff too. Literally, the best part is some
Bernie
most.
wasn't as so.
Hmm?
Bernie was. Ber,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Bernie is not as socialist as people or himself thinks he is.
I don't know what he is in his heart of hearts, but literally you can be like an absolute like automated interstellar like libertarian socialist, but you don't have to run on that platform if you don't think it'll be elected. As long as if you can start on the social democratic um,
Yeah,
role and then just keep pushing forward. You just keep you do the best you possibly can, and then you just keep on doing it. You just keep on
but
getting victories, doing
one of
what you
the
got to do.
things that isn't like, yeah, that isn't really talked about because when you were saying how the hate towards AOC stems from misogyny or whatever, well,
Mhm.
going back to the whole when you were talking about kids advertising,
Mhm.
I don't really know if this can be said. So if I begin to start to talk about it, because I don't know how to ask you beforehand, but if I begin to
Mm.
start to talk about it, stop me if I can't say this. But like how teen porn, like especially
Mhm.
tiny teen porn, is a genre. I really feel like, especially when I hear
On
what
like
it is and
Pornhub,
see it, I'm like,
it's like
this sounds like,
petite 18-year-olds. Is that
yeah,
the
yeah, that's the thing.
mhm.
I'm like, yeah, this isn't pedophile, like,
Yeah, I think pedophilia is and ephebophilia, whatever the hell it's called for the slightly older generation. Like I think older men being attracted to younger women and very unaccept and increasingly unacceptedly younger women is just a very unflattering and unfortunate part of biology, and it happens to way more people than we realize, and which is why we need to make sure that everybody has free and universal equal access to mental health care included in their health care
well, the problem,
thing.
the problem is you do have people, and sometimes I'm guilty of thinking this, of people who
Hmm.
think that are like pedophilia isn't a mental illness; they're just disgusting.
uh yeah, I mean, I think that it
That
is, yeah, but because
one,
it is disgusting. There's no way to be a positive pedophile. You have to get help and you have to understand.
no,
However, you
no,
have to just train yourself out of that sort of
I'm,
thing.
I mean, or you could be a nomad. Sorry, I
Hmm.
just had to mention those people because
Yeah,
I saw a video of
those people exist. Yeah, they say that they don't touch. Do you mind if I play a game while we're doing this if it doesn't cut down
it.
on
No,
the
I don't.
Cool, thank you. I'm gonna play some Call of Duty. Uh
But no,
No, no,
I
not
found out.
Warzone. I want to play Cold War. Sorry, I didn't realize
I
that I was
found out
about to
about
put it.
those kinds of people no maps, and they honestly
Mhm.
disgust me.
Yeah, I feel you.
Same with
Yeah.
same with
Hmm.
same with Nambla. People forget Nambla was a thing.
What's Nambla?
National Associate Nas, uh National American Man Boy Love Association.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
it's basically how it sounds.
you know what's gonna fix that problem in the next few years if things go to the left rather than the right.
What?
We're gonna be able to cure and stop aging. So, guess what? Everybody's gonna look 35 no matter how old they actually are.
Through plastic surgery?
No, through literally just ending aging. Aging is actually just the amount of telomeres you have on your on your on your DNA. And if it gets to the end of
Oh,
your telomeres, then you start aging. That's basically what it is. Why is this screen just black?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you play Call of Duty because I used to tell people as someone whose family was in the military I don't
Mm-hmm.
like Call of Duty because to me it makes too many people, and yes, I do know people
Uh, Hold on, this is the wrong Call of Duty.
who's an accurate representation, war, or that war is like a video game.
War is absolutely nothing like a video game.
No, I know that. I'm just saying I know people who think that.
Of course, there's always people that think that because ignorance is just a lack of understanding. Literally,
Yeah, well,
because
people
or education, since education costs money, people aren't gonna, and if they fail, like they lose all that money. Like, there's no reason.
and people and people also literally think that ROTC, JRTC isn't a recruiting tool for the military, and it is.
What? Yeah, that's its job. No, it's yeah, whatever. It's just propaganda. I
No,
don't. I
no.
don't. You know what I
People,
would be up for though?
can I say real quick before you go on?
Hmm?
People think that because they themselves within JRTC actually do say that it's not a recruitment tool.
I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to become. You don't have to join the military after you do JORTC. So
No, but no, but they have ways of doing it, mainly through peer pressure and
Hmm.
subliminal messaging.
Well, of course, it's the military. Obviously, they give you the option to back out, but the whole point is, yes, explicitly to train people and get them into the military. Now, if ROTC is what I'm about to describe, then I wish that I had done it, but I would have loved to have a just a boot camp thing that I could go to that was the same as military training, and then just do it and then
It
not
was
join the
like that.
military.
It was like that.
Yeah, I wish I
That's
had
what
done
it,
that. I
that's
should have done that.
ROTC. And what did you think it was? That's what it really is.
I was very anti-military at the time. That's why I didn't even do sports in school. If I had
Actually,
the hindsight of what I have now, I definitely would have joined an ROTC. I think that would have been a spectacular
well,
thing for me because I have
if
ADD
I
and
may
shit.
ask, as an anarchist, how
Hmm.
do you rationalize things like joining the military and some of your decisions? Because some of your decisions,
I.
some,
Mm,
some of your views and everything, like as we discussed, really
hmm.
do give off vibes more like of social democracy.
I am very not like I am. Look, I think I'm focusing. I have been focusing on anarchism for the last couple of years. So I'm actually and I've been sort of. I was told sort of from the beginning that social democracy doesn't work. The only way to have an actual revolution is to actually revolt. However, it's not it's not one or the other. Electoralism will never bring us into space. Hold on, I need to change the settings so that I can have the chat. I also might need to change the.
Yeah,
Let's see.
that's kind of why as well. I don't like I don't like what is it? What I'm thinking.
Hmm.
Um, I was trying to think of what you were saying because that's kind of why I don't like dim stock because I don't truly believe you can bring about socialism through electoralism.
No, it's a combat. What you do is you invade electoralism and liberal. What's it called? Marketplace of ideas, and then you create you create the as close to or the best true social democracy that you can, and then when that is done and you can do it, what you do is you start funding revolutionary anarchist movements in other parts of the world, kind of like old Cold War tactics. Instead of trying to bring democracy to all these countries, what we do is we go to places like Rojava, and I forget the other. Oh, Sharon, Mexico, and we give them infrastructure, we give them military protection. Have you heard the story of Sharon, Mexico? Here, let me move my video. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let me move my screen to me. No, what are you doing? What is this? I'm just gonna put this here. So I'm gonna move this maybe over here or over here. Are you still there, my friend? So I'm gonna play. No, all right. Hold on. Bear with me for a second. I'm sorry. Here. I don't know. Here, can you talk for a second, please? I just want to make sure the volume is good.
Yes, sorry. I
No,
was
you're good.
just distracted with something.
Um, there we go. Now they can hear the game. Can you talk again,
Oh,
please?
okay.
All right.
Yes, do you?
Yeah, you're better now. I don't
Okay.
want the game to be louder than you, obviously. Hold on. Leave. I need to switch to a controller because I use controller. Even though I play on PC, I'm a filthy controller on literal first-person shooters. It's pretty funny if you think about it. So what were you talking about? Oh yeah, so because I'm an anarchist and I'm a, what I like to call myself is an automated interstellar libertarian, but socialist libertarian. And so to achieve that, I think the first thing we need to do is like, you're still there, right? By the way.
Yeah.
We need to create we need to infiltrate and use the liberal voting powers that we have and give as much liberal voting powers to as many of the people as possible. Right now, all the positions of politicians are just lawyers and dynasties. They are not your everyday people. AOC was like I want to turn off I want to mute these people. I don't know if you can hear them, but the video can hear them.
I
And it's really annoying. Oh my god.
Yeah.
There we go. Honestly, that's what's
Run. I'll give you a head start.
Alright, I'm gonna go into the game and change the volume.
What game are you playing again, by the way?
You're not watching the stream. I'm playing Cold War. Call of Duty
Oh,
Cold War.
okay.
Alright. So I guess we're playing a game I don't usually play.
Oh.
Because I joined a game in the middle.
Yeah. Well, if you're just streaming, I'm gonna go.
Okay. No, we can keep talking. Would you prefer I didn't play the game, or we can keep talking?
No, I just had something else I wanted to be doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, by all means, whenever you're ready to go, I'll see you later.
Yeah, how do I exit, by the way?
You go to, Discord, and, you just end the call. Oh, he left. Alright. I don't know if I'm gonna keep streaming this. I'm just gonna stream one game. I thought that was fun. I don't know if Mr. Dave, Stone is, still watching with us, but he was talking about AI, but I think he left a while ago. I actually don't really want to play this game, so I'm just gonna end the recording then. Well, this has